Welcome back to Thinking Critical. This is Wes. I hope you're ready for the best damn comic book related podcast and YouTube show and all the interwebs, the Comics Aficionados, here with a great panel to talk about all the weird stuff going on with DC Comics. It's really a culmination of many things. Are they going too woke? Will they go more woke in the future? We'll talk about that. We'll, of course, talk about the Batman trailer. It's really a culmination of many things. Are they going too woke? Will they go more woke in the future?
Yeah, sorry about that. Go ahead.
We've also got the Batman trailer reviewed 25 million times and counting. It's probably more like 30 by now, maybe more. So we've also got all the Batwoman controversy with the CW and Ruby Rose. We got the what do we got? The Marvel solicitations. We got Skipntosh in the house. What else are we going to talk about? Well, we're going to talk about terrible comic book takes. I got a few to share with the peoples. And obviously with me are the comics aficionados themselves. Got a great panel for you today. First up, joining us, first time in a long time, Drew from Comics Elite. Where you been, Drew?
I've been out on the road, rode hard with different shows in New York, and we had Donnie Cates in the store, and we had Nathan Zerdy in the store, and Ali Garza in the store, and we're going to have a few more people in the store, and too busy. And I'm working on my own comic. It's going nonstop.
Absolutely. Well, when you do your own comic, are you coming here and talk about it? You want to tell people?
Just let me know if I can come on. I'll gladly talk about it. Yeah, absolutely.
You can come on and talk about your comic book anytime you'd like.
Thank you, Wes. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. We're glad to have you here. Also, we got the good man himself. We got Skipntosh. What is it, like 6 a.m.?
7. Close.
7 a.m. It looks dark.
Yeah. Because it still is.
How you doing, Skip? The Sacramento still doesn't have a losing record. This is, better than the last 10 years.
1-1, and I'll take it. 1-1. I'll take it, baby.
Who else we got? We got Gevian off a pretty spicy. It's complicated this week. Talk about a pretty interesting video from last year. How you doing, Gevian?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, making sure I rep my boys in No Man, especially given the discussion topic. What discussion topics for today? This should be a good one.
How's Animated Concepts coming? Sounds like you about ready to start announcing stuff?
Yeah, it's going well. I'm expected to start making some announcements next month. Definitely closing in on at least getting a couple of creators to come on to start getting some of the initial content done. So I'm very excited about that, but don't want to put the cart before the horse. Just want to make sure that everything's lined up and everybody's on board before we start making any major announcements. But things are moving along. Yeah, keep us in prayer as we do this recruitment thing. I'm with Skip. It's hard to find some good, hardworking brothers and sisters.
It's tough.
Who else we got? We got Josh McDonald from popbyculture.com, also a contributor to BatmanNews.com. The DC aficionado. How you doing, Josh?
I'm doing well, man. Looking forward to this conversation. I'll echo. Y'all had a spicy. It's complicated. I had actually come over to my parents' house Thursday afternoon. And I was doing a work schedule, but I had it playing on my phone, and my mom's like cooking, and she's like, "Who is this? What is this? What is this about?" Like getting all nosy up in it. So I thought it was great. I had a good laugh.
Well, I hope we were entertaining enough for Mom.
Yep.
Y'all were. She enjoyed it.
Just make sure that I'm never on whenever you're around your mom. Because
oh,
she's
no.
Be like,
You would have to know my mom. My mom would probably love you, Doc. She'd probably like, does this guy like margaritas?
My goodness. Don't forget to tell her to subscribe, Josh.
Oh, I will.
Read the numbers.
The best, though, the best is her like, are these the friends that you do stuff with? Yes, Mom. I feel like I'm 12 again. Is it okay? Do you
the
approve?
guys that you were talking about?
What was the, yeah. They sound like some good old boys. They seem like they can think for themselves.
Right.
And last but not least, we do have the Marvel aficionado in the house, Doc. How you feeling, Doc?
I'm wonderful. I am definitely least among all here. No, thanks for having me, dude. It's always wonderful to be here every Saturday morning to replace being an 8-year-old with cartoons.
Thinking Critical is the new cartoons on your Saturday morning. Absolutely. And it looks like we've got a live comment section so far. Hopefully we don't run into the weird issues that we had last week, where I guess there was some beefs being settled in there. Please keep it civil. Have a nice time and enjoy the show. And definitely talk about comic books in the comment section. That's what it's there for. All right, you guys ready to get to this?
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
We've had a lot of wholesale changes at DC Comics lately. We've got the new version of Superman. We got a new version of Robin. Well, I guess it's not a new Robin. It's the Red Robin of old, but he certainly has a new orientations regarding his sexuality. We've got trans characters that are now allowed to be in the Amazon or among the Amazonians within Themyscira. We've got essentially John Kent pushing a pretty crazy agenda with the fact that he doesn't believe in saving people anymore. He believes in fighting systems. That goes the same for Jace Fox with Batman. We've also got Arthur Curry's going to be retiring soon to give up the mantle of Aquaman to Jackson Hyde. Lots and lots of changes. So we'll throw it to the DC aficionado first. Josh, what do you think? Are DC Comics going woke, or is it just happened that there's a coincidence this is all happening kind of at the same time?
No, I feel like they're definitely trying to lean into some wokeness. That they're definitely reminding me of Marvel a few years back. And look, I'm someone that I'm all for having representation and diversity. I think there's a good and a bad way of going about it, and I don't think they're going about it necessarily the right way. As far as what they're doing with John and then I Am Batman, Jace. I think that's a loaded conversation when you're talking about fighting systems. So I think we'll probably dig into that a little more here in a second.
So what do you think, Skip? Do you think DC Comics is kind of leading into this thing wholesale, or do you think they're just making a few changes to modernize the characters for a new time?
I think they're experimenting with it, to see what sticks. I don't know what the expectation is for the company when they do this. I mean, they know it's going to garner attention when they either make changes or introduce new things, and they go for those headlines. They have their own PR company that puts out pressers and lets other media outlets and stuff like that know what's happening. So beyond the initial, awareness and kind of news lines and whatever that they put out, I don't know what they expect the lasting impact to be. I mean, I think obviously if it's something that does result in, profits, then, they'll probably ride it out as long as they can. But I think we always find out a lot more after, 6 months to a year, what all of this ultimately ended up amounting to. I mean, at the end of the day, they're a corporation. So ultimately they're doing these things, to make money, and they get with creators and whatnot that, do have a passion, for, putting, whether it's trans characters, whatever type of representation they get with them. But the company's agenda overall, I don't think it's always just at the level that we end up putting our focus on. I think most of the time it's probably beyond that. And I don't know. We're really going to have to wait and see what the ultimate results are. Like I said, about 6 months to a year out from them, where titles start getting canceled, characters start getting forgotten about and introduced in events, and all of a sudden pushed out, and we don't ever hear about them again, or at least for a long time. We'll see.
We do have Lade Kramer supporting the channel. Thank you very much, Lade, for the super chat. I know we're going to be negative to Superman. I just want to point out my two favorite stories this year were Fetch and Generations from Superman Red and Blue #5. It's absolutely a fantastic anthology issue, and those are two very, very good Superman stories if you're looking for some good Superman to read. I completely agree with what Lade Kramer's saying there.
Thanks, Lade.
Absolutely. And now, obviously, Gevian, you look into this marketing things, and they've certainly been able to generate a lot of headlines. And it sounds like they've been able to generate a lot of sales, at least with Superman Son of Kal-El #5. DC Comics has claimed that it's unprecedented, the amount of sales. I know they've already gone to a second print, basically side by side with the first print before the first comics ever get there. So at least in the short term, some of this marketing is being effective.
Oh yeah, no, and I think it's to Skip's point that the real thing is that talking long term. So I'm not talking about short term. So short term, they've won, because the question is, can you turn controversy into cash, and then how long can you turn it into cash for? And the thing is, if they're getting like the short-term bump where like retailers, because, as you and Perch had an excellent discussion the other day talking about the myth of pre-order sales versus sell-through, is that the simple fact of the matter is, if retailers are getting it right in the direct market in terms of assessing the demand, then basically there's a demand for this kind of content, or at least a curiosity and interest in it. Now, the real question becomes, how long can it go for? Is it something where people permanently want to see Superman not fighting criminals, but fighting for causes, and basically, living his life as a bisexual. And if that's the case, then he should be around for many, many years to come. Hopefully, depending on who you are and what you think of the character, you'll get a nice Wally West run. And then at some point, when he starts making money, you'll see the same fate that Wally West did. So
we'll get a Superman rebirth.
That's right. He'll turn into, I don't know if it'll be a mass miller, or maybe he likes killing squirrels and baby bunnies or something. I don't know. But ultimately, if it's making money, they're going to do it. And right now, at least from what we've seen in terms of the sales up until this point, there is an interest, or at least a curiosity, in seeing where they're going to go with this old Superman. Was it John son of Kal-El thing? Yep. John Kent.
We do have 3 super chats to get to here real quick. We got Kenneth Dowling. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. You are a good friend of the channel. Hello, fellas. Glad to join the program and engage in this topic. I know we're not food aficionados, so I'll just say my breakfast is really, really good. Sounds like you made a trip to Arby's, my friend, and congratulations. We've also got Callum Lyle from, it looks like Australia. I was hoping Nubia would be good, but I knew that stupid Vita would F it up, which proves to me she thinks on her fetishes, and what is the point? I don't know. It feels like a lot of self-insert kind of characters whenever Vita ends up writing a title. But, DC Comics are the ones that had to approve it. So, it's not like this was a single point of entry for this idea or this change to the lore of Themyscira in DC Comics. So you can't put it all on Vita. You have to actually talk about the whole system there. Also, we got Callum Lyle again. I think Tom King's next books are I Hate Living and My Mommy Fetish. Damn it, Doc. Are you leaking information about Tom King?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I am. I am all up. I already hacked his fucking emails.
I think I Hate Living is a subtitle for the Human Target, actually.
Human Target. I Hate Living.
That might have been an eventual suicide note.
My goodness. So I don't know. What do you think about this, Doc? It feels like they're rehashed some of the things that Marvel has done in the past, but certainly going a little bit further now. We're what are we, like 5 years, 4 or 5 years past all new, all different Marvel Now era. Maybe the audience is ready for it now.
No. Look, there's a very, very simple thing with weirdo activists. They never believe that their idea was bad. They just believe they haven't been allowed to do enough of it yet. So DC saw what Marvel failed at and then decided, hey, let's do a little bit of, the same failure. And thinking that, they could do the exact same thing and get a different result. I mean, granted, it's the definition of insanity, but hey, when the hell has the comic book industry in the last 10, 15 years been even remotely sane? This is stupid. I already watched this movie. I know how it ends. And all you're doing is, repeating the exact same thing. This is look, as much as I liked the original, I liked the remake of Psycho, the one from the 90s that was a shot-for-shot remake of the original. I already saw the fucking movie and I know how it ends. So,
but you have to admit, Doc, at least in other portions of the market, when you look at Saga and Kieran Gillen's had a lot of titles that you would consider maybe a more progressive or even woke, if you want to call them that have been very, very successful. So there is an audience that likes to read these comic books.
Look, Saga is relatively successful. Invincible still smacked it the entire duration of its run.
Yeah, we're not talking about Invincible. We're talking about the success of Saga.
My point is a generic, pretty good superhero comic from the same publisher with a about the same amount of marketing beat the ever loving shit out of it on a month-to-month basis when it was coming out. And so you're aiming for something that is, you already have an Invincible, tier character. or tier storytelling. And you've decided that you want to go into something that obviously for a similar quality, I'd say Brian K. Vaughan and Robert Kirkman are about the same level talent wise. Ryan Otley and I can't remember what the hell
Fiona Staples.
Fiona Staples are about the same quality and name recognition for art, and one sold significantly better. So what that tells me is the audience for simple superhero book is significantly larger than the audience for weird rando activist book. And while it may be good, and second of all, Kieran Gillen, sorry, dude, none of his
Wicked and Divine.
It's not anywhere close to a success. I mean, maybe it's an Image success. It's not a DC or Marvel success. Sorry, it's a 15,000 unit per month book. That's trash. That's fucking Squirrel Girl, man.
All right, I'm gonna push back on Doc about Invincible being a generic superhero comic book, because I don't know what's generic about public fish sex, much less it was going to be public interspecies sex.
My point is that it's a very run of the mill, but it's a good story. It's a nice long form continuous story, but it's just standard superhero fare. Look, the market for standard. You said
Invincible was the best story you read in 20 years in comics. How is it generic?
It's the best. No, it's sorry. So generic may be the improper term. It is standard superhero fare. It is executed very, very well, but it is standard superhero fare. It is no different than a very good run on X-Men or a very good run on Spider-Man and a very good run on Batman or Superman. It's very standard superhero fare. Every superhero fan is going to sit there and go, you know what, this is good, I like it. So what that tells me is the market for people buying a very good standard superhero fare story is large, and significantly larger than the market for somebody buying a very well executed activist book, which is what Brian Vaughan's book was. And sorry, Wicked and Divine it's not a success. I mean, it's a success in Image terms. It is not a mainstream superhero success. That is it's maxed out. Saga's maxed out of where it's gonna sell.
Well, we'll talk to the retailer on the panel here in a second.
Even in terrible market conditions, like the superhero fare book is blowing it out of the water. And if you have good market conditions, it'd be selling 10 times that.
Callum Lyle has a super chat. He wants to know, off topic, does it bother you or make you happy when kids say my favorite superhero is Deku from My Hero Academia or Sailor Moon? Mine's Godzilla. Me personally, no, it does not bother me. I want kids to be reading comic books.
Yep.
If they're reading My Hero Academia or Sailor Moon, they are reading comic books, and that pleases me. Now let's throw it over to Drew. You are a comic book retailer. Does it bother you or upset you when American kids say my favorite superhero is Deku?
It's one of those where I'm like, I take a deep breath and I'm like, sure, okay, great. But I just think to myself, I'm just thinking, there's Spider-Man, there's Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Superman. There's all these great legacy characters that have had great stories that I wish, like, if I had the chance, if I have time for these kids, I'd be like, hey, you got 5 minutes? Let's go over here. I'm going to tell you this cool story with Superman and Batman, that's probably just as cool, if not cooler, than My Hero Academia or Sailor Moon. But if they're reading, they're reading. That's great. Kids are reading. That's what's important to me.
Well, they're reading comic books. That means there's a natural progression from My Hero Academia to a Spider-Man.
I hope so. I hope there is a
brings the graphic novel over to your house and drops it off. You recognize the format. It's not right to left. It's left to right, but you do pretty much get what it is.
Mm-hmm. And it's the fact that they think they're superheroes. That's the other part. Yeah. That they're throwing them all in the same bucket when technically they're not superheroes, as you will. But the fact that they think they're superheroes are cool. It's a cool gateway to get them into the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong.
I think a lot of times you find similar themes within books, but I'm with Drew. I've had many people kind of share that they feel certain characters are their favorite superhero, and it's people that I wouldn't necessarily classify as a superhero. I've lent out so many comic books to people who make those types of comments, be like, "Oh, if you like this because of these reasons, you should read like these 3 books." And I've made so many people comic book fans that way. So yeah, I'm fine with it because to me it just shows that this person. I think typically if they see that in you, it makes sense for Drew because he's in a comic shop. But if you have these conversations outside of a comic shop, it's someone recognizing like, hey, I see you got similar interests than I do, but they are a little bit different. Let's kind of like nerd out.
When my kid, it was 2 Christmases ago, he was in preschool and they had a big Christmas party. And I had like 50 issues of like Marvel True Believers.
Mm-hmm.
And I just took them, put them in little sleeves, gave them to every little kid. I actually had a couple of the parents call me up, like, where do I get more of this? He's read the same comic over and over and over. But hey, you throw little classics their way, and it's always good. Whatever gets them into the hobby, I think is a plus, at least in my book. We've got Kenneth Dallig with the super chat. Sorry, Wes, no Arby's. That's a loss in my book, man. I'm sorry you didn't get it's home cooked and very good. Marvel and DC always steal from each other. They've been doing it for decades. The market will judge if this works in the long run or not. Absolutely. The market absolutely will decide. And there are wonderful home recipes. If you want Arby's roast beef and cheddar, you Google it and you can get a home recipe for that bad boy. You don't have to wait for it. Just putting it out there. You want a homemade Arby's roast beef and cheddar of Big Montana? It's waiting for you. You can even make the Arby's sauce. You know what I'm saying?
Wes, one of these days, Arby's, they're going to sponsor you. Just
they should.
Yep. Just for the hell of it.
I'm an Arby's aficionado. I'll tell you that. I'm an enthusiast of the bread. We've also got a Comic Hound supporting the channel. Thank you so much. Very generous of you. As a 50-plus year reader, I'm out. I'm going to get key issues graded by collections of my favorites and support Voices of Sanity like Thinking Critical. Well, thank you so much for supporting the channel. And hopefully, hey, if you stick around, I'm going to tell you when things turn around. If things maybe there are comic books that are more to your liking, you stick around, I'm going to tell you about it because I do get excited when I read a really good comic book. I just hadn't read a lot of really good comic books lately, unfortunately. Is anyone else feeling that malaise?
Yeah.
Outside of Spider-Man.
That's because he doesn't read DC and Marvel.
Well, that's
Sean and I are reading almost every book every single week, and there are some good comics, like legit. Okay, back to DC for a minute. Yeah, they're putting a spotlight on their, the activist comics right now. But at the same time, there are still those at DC that aren't focused on that. They're actually really damn good. I got them right here. Like Batman versus Bigby. This is actually really damn good. Suicide Squad, really surprisingly good.
There you go, Drew. Yep.
And Flash is actually really damn good. I mean, these are
shockingly good.
These are.
I don't think the intention to say is that there's not any good comics. I just overwhelmingly if you go back, I would say 4 years ago, even when you're looking at the big 2, I would say most of what I read was enjoyable. And I feel like it's not enjoyable. I think it's just a majority aspect. There's definitely good comics out there. For me, it's mostly indies. But I also have to prioritize those last because of what I do. So I go through reading a slog of stuff and then hating the world and let me go drink some whiskey. And then Sunday night, I'm going to have it come to Jesus and, praise him because I read some good indie comics.
That's me on a Tuesday, every day, all day Tuesday. I'm like that. I'm going through the whole gauntlet on Tuesday. I'm just like, God, kill me now. But before you know it,
when I read the books to get ready for This Week in Batman, I have to have a chaser.
I'm sorry, Wes.
I wait sometimes until Saturday morning to read some of the books for This Week in X-Men, and I can't drink that early anymore.
You throw a little milk in there, you throw some gin in that milk, and you got yourself a nice drink to go along with your trial of Magneto, Doc.
I wanted to kind of jump on what Skip and Gevian were talking about earlier with the comics and kind of waiting 6 months to a year to see what they're going to do. I'm fully on board with that. That's kind of my take as well. That's why I'm trying not to have too strong of an opinion right now. I will say it's been 3 months since they announced Tim Drake, and they haven't actually done anything with Tim Drake since then. I will also say, we're hearing about these sales are strong right now. And if you'll remember last week, I mentioned when I was in my comic shop last Wednesday, they had one issue of Kal-El or Superman, John Kent Superman left. And then they had like just a massive stack of number 2s. And then after Wednesday, the news came out about John Kent officially. When I went back in this past Wednesday for this week to get my stuff, every single issue of number 2 was gone. But it was the first appearance of Jay. So, we're seeing sales. I don't think they're authentic sales, though. I think we're seeing a false positive. And I think it's really going to depend heavily on what narratively they decide to do with these characters and how they tell these stories. And if I'm being honest, I don't have much faith in these creators with these stories.
Yeah, but I think the problem with that is
the shock factor with these.
Yeah, but the shock factor is making you money. Then it really doesn't matter. It's just a question of how long you can run that bad boy for. Yes, I think that's part of the problem that we're missing with it is that they're not looking at this just like in a whole lot of industries. They're looking at this as like, oh, what's the audience? What audience we're going to have 5 years from now? No, they're looking about it. It's like, how much can I make on this book right here? And if I can make X amount of profit on this book right here, whether I sell them through immediately or over time or whatever it is, that's all that matters at the end of the day. So I mean, I think part of it is just that it is something where it's like they're trying to test out with the characters who aren't the characters, so they're kind of playing it right down the middle. So it's like we know that this is John Kent as Superman. We know this is Tim Drake as Robin, basically going bisexual. The general public doesn't know that. It's like I'm fielding calls from brother-in-laws and everybody else. They're turning Superman gay. He's bisexual. This is it. I'm like, bro, calm down.
I got 3 DMs on Facebook.
That's right. I said, first of all, nobody else would know about this if you wouldn't call everybody else and tell them about it. I said, and my daughter was like, what? Superman is bisexual now? I'm like, just calm down, okay? It's his son. It's not Superman himself. But that's what they're relying on. So the whole thing is that they're putting John Kent out there as a sacrificial lamb. See if the general public will go along with the idea of Superman's being bisexual. Only then, and only after they realize they can make money maybe a little bit longer than 6 months, will Clark Kent come out and basically apologize profusely to Lois. But other than that, it's like you got 6 months to a year to see this little thing's gonna work out of that.
Hey, I just got one suggestion for the people that are running out to go buy those Superman Son of Kal-El number 2s. Don't get left holding that bag when that book tanks.
Right.
This is a little old school slabbed and raw suggestion.
Right.
Here. Don't get left holding the bag because that book ain't going anywhere.
It's the crypto of comics. That's a literal pun.
Skip, I saw you throw a little lip balm on there. You ready to lay down the smack? What's going on?
Skip is ready. I got my lip gloss on. It's popping. I'm ready. What's up?
All right. We do have another super chat. This is off topic. It's about a video Gervais and I did last week. That WWE video you did, you forgot to mention how hot Jade Cargill, Sasha Banks, Kelly KR, and Alexa Bliss looks like Harley Quinn. Alexa Bliss has absolutely been Harley Quinn for quite a few years in WWE. And, I'll agree. Yes, those are very attractive women. What do you think, Gervais?
Oh no, I agree. I wish they were still doing the Alexa Bliss I think it was the 5 Feet of Fury. I much prefer that to this whole Harley Quinn bit. It's like, how about you try actually getting the Fiend more over than he already was, as opposed to that jackleg road they went down with it. But absolutely, it's like, so now I don't know if they're all natural or not, but if they are all natural, there's nothing wrong with A cups. It's all good.
Hey, I look at the whole thing with DC though. I look at it like this: they used Tim, which I'm sad about. They used John, which I don't care about. They used Jace. Well, they're probably going to use Jace, who I definitely don't give a shit about. They used whatever the fuck Aqualad's name is these days,
Jackson Hyde,
who I definitely don't give a shit about. And they use those as the sacrificial lambs because once the stunt casting on this shit wears off, those characters are dead permanently. There's no bringing them back. Sorry. They're dead.
But they want to keep the title of the main character associated with them.
I get it. I get that. They're using the sacrificial lamb because they know that if they made it Clark, they made it Bruce, they made it Arthur, they made it, Diana, they made it somebody else, whatever. I don't really give a shit.
Diane's been bisexual.
Well,
bisexual for
yeah,
quite some time.
but nobody gives a shit about women being bisexual. Sorry. I mean, we're always like, especially hot women.
Jeez,
We're
Doc.
like, no, I mean, hey, look,
I think what he's saying is you've seen lesbian relationships way more frequently and way more commonly for decades now. Like it
Not
was
o-
even
that.
well, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say not only that, but come on, hot lesbian. Is everybody really going to complain? No. But they use them as sacrificial lambs because these characters, they're trying to, coattail ride to some headlines, and when novelty wears off, these characters are dead. Just start digging their graves now. You'll save.
We've got Wolfsteed 3D chiming in. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I can't buy into the current good books as I don't trust DC not to put Bendis on the book. Maybe I have to guarantee the creator I enjoy stays. That's a damn good point. That definitely puts in a level of apprehension. You just never know when Jerry Duggan's going to become the headliner in X-Men. You're like, well, shit, why was I reading X-Men for the last 2 years? I thought I was getting this big 3-year story that was promised. And now you brought in the old generic Duggan. What the hell am I going to do now? I got all these books I don't want. So you got a point there. We've got Kenneth Dowling also. Thank you so much. It's very generous with the $20 super chat. Part 1. Yeah. Josh, word on who is considered a superhero prompted this question. I asked a cashier last night, do you prefer a super with or without powers? He said powers. I said, what about Batman? And he said, he's not a superhero.
Oh.
Those are fighting words. You should have just drop kicked him right there. just done it.
Battering
change on the counter. No,
that feels
don't
super enough to you.
Just out of curiosity, let's give this one a reasonable question for a second. Doesn't being a superhero require some sort of super ability?
That by
definition,
cognitive abilities.
Technically, Batman would be considered a pulp hero.
Yeah, he's a vigilante or a pulp hero.
Yeah,
he's not really a superhero.
Yeah, if you want to classify it as saying he's not a superhero, he is a vigilante and has heroic tendencies. I'm not going to argue with that. I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean,
I can't believe you gave
No, I mean, like, I get it. To me, I'm a very analytical person. So if you're going to analyze something like that, I'm going to look at you and go like, hey, you've thought this through, like a fair game. I can respect that. But if you're like, Batman's not a hero, I'm going to be like, fuck you, get out of here, you chump.
Oh, he's definitely a hero. I'm just questioning whether or not
he's basically the Punisher without the, the intestinal fortitude to go along all the way,
Or the mental health issues. But
oh, no, actually, no.
Which makes Punisher the first woke vigilante, by the way.
No. Punisher's the more sane of the two. Jesus. I mean, granted,
how many people is Joker going to murder since Batman refuses to make sure that he gets put away or put under? You know what I mean? Yeah, we're going to get to that when our bad comic book takes here in a minute. We've got Mr. DC Comics chiming in. Invincible is the son Jonathan Kent should have been. I'm having a blast reading the Invincible books for the first time.
It is.
Well, we did get a little bit of the Jonathan Kent as a younger Invincible with the Rebirth stuff with Dan Jurgens and Tomasi when they're writing. It's like, this is off to a great start. And then Bendis came in and like all that was just like washed away. Let's focus on this now. Yeah, we're going to age him up now.
Agreed.
Well, now they're going to make a Super Sons movie that the series is over. So disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, we'll see. That could actually be a very good thing. Like if they have this movie come out and it's in line with Tomasi and them have done with Super Sons and it catches on and it's popular, that's a guarantee they're going to do more stuff.
They'll have to go back to it.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping for the best there. I said this last week. The biggest issue I have with John Kent is honestly that they aged him up. If you want to make him bi, fine. My animosity with them making him bis, I just do it right. Like if you're going to do it right. Don't just do it so you can have a pat on the back. And that's kind of what it feels like.
It kind of feels to me like they just wanted to make Superman bi, but they knew they couldn't do Clark Kent. So they said, well, we'll make him leave and then we'll make John Kent be Superman and then we can do it.
Right. And then that poor lady on Twitter was so upset about Louise Lane.
Louis Lane would be beside himself.
Louis Lane.
No, she went to put Lois and spelled Louise, like Louise.
I think it was Luis, like Louis.
And then she was like, Louise and Superman will always be together. And then there were jokes about like Oedipus Rex. complex and doing your mom. It was a great thread. Like,
I do hate it when the people that clearly haven't read a comic book, perhaps in their entire lives, certainly within the last 30 years, decided they're going to be the arbitrator of whether this is a good change or not.
Yeah, well, most of these changes are instigated by people that haven't read a comic book in 30 years.
Well, it's supposed to get their attention, right?
I know.
They're trying to get their attention, and then of course they're going to clap back. You're like, oh, you kind of sound stupid there.
No, that's the whole point. The whole point is, are they going to convert any of those people into comic book fans? And the answer is no. So I think that's where the whole thing of like, of course, taking this from Eric Bischoff, the whole thing of controversy creating cash. It's like, yeah, you may be creating cash for, I don't know who this audience is in the direct market who are buying these books, thinking this is, because I'm with Doc, don't get held holding the bag of that issue number 2, or maybe even issue number 1 either. But all those people who are like, oh my God, Superman is now bi or whatever it is, and him and Lois aren't together. How many of those people are actually going to convert into fans and come into the stores? I mean, it was one thing when they were doing the Batman Fortnite thing, where that was just like, there was clearly something in that book for that crowd to bring them into a store. Now, whether you kept them in or not is one thing or another. But somebody who's going, hey, what are you doing? Turn Superman bi? I just don't see that person walking into the store and then buying the comic to sate their curiosity. I just, so, I mean, it's like they use these big moments. And I don't know if this is like, these stunts are geared towards speculators in the market, if they're geared towards lapsed fans in the market, but it just seems like I don't know who they're targeting with this, other than are they laying the groundwork for when they roll it out in terms of other media. That's what it feels like. It's like when they want to do their big movie project, we've seeded the ground, if you will.
Well, I think it's
so. Josh,
somewhat...
we've got Kenneth Dowling come in with the second part of his question. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Very generous. Part 2, because he doesn't have powers. Talking about Batman. Batman and Nightwing don't have powers, but they are not normal. They trained, conditioned athletes in their prime. What do you guys think? Thanks for the Arby's advice. Listen, I'm here for the Arby's advice for anybody. If anybody ever needs it, you just email me at westdiggscomics@gmail.com. I got all the Arby's advice you ever wanted. I'm kind of with Kenneth Dowling on this one. I think Batman is a superhero. I think you guys are crazy. He's got advanced cognitive abilities. He's super rich, which in today's, is kind of a superhero.
Well, not anymore.
I thought that made you a villain.
Batman and Nightwing like a drum at the same time.
I didn't know Jeff
beat Batman and Nightwing like a drum both at the same time.
That has never happened, sir.
I didn't know Jeff Bezos.
It should happen.
Superhero.
Basically,
hold on. Who would beat Batman and Nightwing like a drum?
Deathstroke would beat Batman and Nightwing like a drum both at the same time.
Batman beat Superman.
He was just 90% of his brain. The taps of the 90% of the brain, the rest of us don't. That's a superhero. That's a superhero.
Can you imagine if they gave
Nightwing and Batman are Olympic athletes.
I would say, what I would say about this comment from Kenneth is, I think saying they're not normal is incorrect. I'd say they're not average, but they're normal human beings. Like they don't have anything about them that was gifted to them. They worked for it. They pushed their bodies, they pushed their mind. And it's things that like, hey, look, if we committed our lives to doing these things, we could probably do them. Unfortunately, we have jobs and families and kids and eat Arby's. Like,
listen, Josh, I say Joe Chill gifted Bruce Wayne, a rightful set of vengeance and a bloodlust for criminals.
Yeah,
cannot be quenched.
It's not a power though. It's not an ability.
Yeah, but he's motivated, right?
Yeah,
he's super duper motivated. That's a superpower. He really hates
radioactive spider, if you will.
Oh no, I still say he's a superhero. That's just me. He's the world's greatest detective. He's not the multiverse's greatest detective because that's JoJo Mullins.
Apparently,
Lantern. We've got Federico de la Casa chiming in from Europe. I'm right with Doc. Why do people always start with that crap? Like, get out of here with that.
This is the Doc is always right show. Come on.
That's right. What do we like? The Trigger West show.
I'm right with Doc. I like to see Wes and Jermaine and all of you. And I don't feel alone in to be let down by most comics now. P.S. The Flash is now good, and nobody talks about it because there's no token in it right now. The Flash is really good. I just think a lot of people, they don't believe in Wally West anymore after everything DC Comics has done with him. They didn't fully rehabilitate and fix the character, but Jeremy Adams is doing yeoman's work. That is a damn good comic book, and everybody's just kind of ignoring it. But you can see why it's being overshadowed by all the things that they're actually promoting, Drew, but they don't promote their good comic books.
It's true, and it's disheartening, really, especially some like guys like us. I mean, who are reading every book every week, and it's like, DC, why can't you please focus on these books just for a month, maybe just a month? Give us a month, focusing on like Suicide Squad, Flash, Batman versus Bigby, just these great, well-written stories where they're not just based on shock factor.
Man, Jim Mint Collectibles, is Iron Man a superhero?
Nope.
No.
Hold on. No,
He's got a giant.
Iron Man is. Tony Stark is not. Tony Stark. Tony Stark is a hero. Iron Man, the actual costume, is what is the superhero.
Well,
not
Batman's
Tony
got a
by
lot of
himself.
powers that he doesn't normally have when he's in costume. So Batman's a superhero, and when he's bruised, he's not.
Well, then his costume's the superhero.
Well, it's Batmobile.
Okay, he's got a super-powered car. Good job. He's fucking Speed Buggy.
Hey, Speed Buggy's dope. That was a really good Hanna-Barbera
It really
crossover,
was.
Josh.
It
Wasn't it?
really was.
Remember when they were doing those cool DC Hanna-Barbera, like Elmer Fudd versus Batman comics that everyone loved?
Yep.
That was the Brett Booth one, the
Right.
Flash Speed Buggy. That was
I
dope.
wish we could go back to those guys.
Oh man, you know what? Honestly, the best thing about that is I think we all expected those to be just god awful, and then Batman and Elmer Fudd was one of the first ones that was released, and it's probably one of the best things I've ever read from Tom King. So
Yeah, I purposely avoid that one, much to my regret now, because I'll never be able to get it for like under less than $2,000. But anyway,
Right?
We've got Bits Bin Sanin. I'm not sure where you're from. Maybe it's Myanmar. Not really sure. Thank you for supporting the channel. Y'all, can you show your T-wear with full screen and stand up? I'm not going to go that far, but I've got nothing on. This is plain Jane. It looks like we got Skype Matters. It's pretty good. We got Moon Knight. We got No Ma'am. And we got the Sacktown Beatdown in there from Skipntosh. I think Doc is probably. What are you wearing, Doc? You wear a white
Penn's
beater?
hoodie. No, Penn's hoodie.
Penn's hoodie. There you go. Not bad. Who else we got here? We got Cal Lyle. Batman doesn't quit, and he's punched Darkseid. That's his superpower, Josh. He doesn't
that's a
quit.
superpower.
yeah, I mean, look, he's definitely got some endurance. I feel like I'm letting all the Batman fans down today. Let me explain.
I feel the same way.
One of the look, yeah, I let you down on a regular basis, Wes. We're gonna get used to it now. One of the things that I'll say that I'm fine saying Batman is not a quote unquote superhero because he doesn't have superpowers is I think it makes him more powerful, understanding that he is just a man, and I think that's part of the commentary and themes of what we can do as individual human beings if we actively try. So I love that about him. Like I'm fine accepting that. If you don't think he's a superhero because he doesn't have powers, I'm fine with it. I think what makes him great is that he doesn't have powers. So
that's one. I think that's one of the things that is like part of the allure about Batman versus Superman. Superman, we know none of us can be Superman, but Batman, it's like, well, if I just got back in the gym like I've been planning for the last 5 years,
Went back to school.
I went back to school. I've already been watching the first 48, so my detective skills are there. And then all I need is to hit up one of my cosplay homies, and they make me a suit that looks just like him. Josh is right. That's one of the allures, is that if we like Batman is someone that we have the potential to get within the realm of, at least within our minds. And I think that's part of what attracts us to him a little bit more than someone who is this superpowered thing that we have no chance of aspiring to be.
You know what's weird, Gevian? My wife watches the first 48, and she watches all these shows on serial killers and how they got away with it, right? Now, you guys are like, well, she's trying to be a superhero. I'm completely convinced that she's trying to kill me to where nobody will ever figure out how it happened.
It is amazing, like how many women over men watch those shows, listen to those shows. It's I had to ask him, like, why do you guys listen to this? Like, it doesn't happen to us. It's like
I've sent out 3 emails to people I do not want to name who they are because my wife might watch this, but it says basically if I go missing, she did it. Like, do not believe it. You must figure out who did it. Like, come on, man.
Or if your wife takes a sudden interest in cooking, get out.
Yeah, that's why I do all the cooking.
You're gonna get
you're not
poisoned,
doing that.
dude.
that's what the wife was doing in
saw what you
Gone
watched
Girl. She was
last
watching
week
all
on
that stuff
Netflix.
and messed over Ben Affleck. That's what she was doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. I go into the previously watched section and I see which episodes. I'll be like, ooh.
If your spouse ever buys an endangered plant, sleep with one eye open.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Wolfsbane.
Yeah. Scary stuff. So yeah, if you see me doing stuff like that, I'm trying to be a superhero. I think my wife's doing it. She got plans. It ain't good. Oh, just for people's sake, if you want to support the channel and you have the time, go up there and hit the thumbs up button and give us a like. Let everyone know we're having a good conversation here. I think we got 65 likes right now, but we got like 240 people in the chat live. So definitely, if even half of you go in there and give us a thumbs up, we'll be doing pretty good. And I would really appreciate it. We've got Callum Lyle says, is that JoJo Lantern just a cheap reference to JoJo's Bizarre Adventures? No, that is a cheap reference to JoJo from the WWE, who I believe is she married to what was the gosh dang Bray Wyatt, right? JoJo?
Yep. I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, she was a ring announcer, but JoJo's Bizarre Adventures would probably been better, especially for the show. We've got Wraith X7. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I do not see a question here, but if you have one, definitely put it in there, and the guys will let me know and keep me in. Get it, Dowling. Not average. I'll take that. Bruce and Dick are not average human beings, though Dick is a natural-born acrobat trained by Bruce. Thanks, Josh. There you go. So Get Dowling appreciates that.
He's basically just an Olympian.
He
kicks ass.
Gosh, if he was a mutant, he'd be cool, right, Doc? Get out of here with that crap. Kenneth Dowling says Tony Stark is a superhero because he has a technological super genius, which he uses to make his suits. Yeah, but Bruce Wayne has multi-billions of dollars, which he uses to make his suits.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he's got the he's got the Hellbat suit. He's got so many different suits. He in the past 5 to 10 years, he's become Iron Man light in a lot of ways, and I'm not the biggest fan of that.
Do you like the Bat God that is basically omni awareness of everything that's actually going on and how to defeat them before they even do it?
No, not a fan.
Like Dr. Manhattan,
Captain Preparation H.
Yeah. Oh, get out of here with that crap, Doc. No one asked for your opinion.
Oh, Jesus.
You're welcome.
Wolfstein 3D says, ask people celebrating these changes what they know about the character outside the sexual orientation. It's also tiresome at this point. Yeah, I completely agree with you. That's definitely one of the more annoying things. Like, you just hate the changes. Like, I'm talking about this in the context of the character and what's happened. This was a rush job, and it's like, you clearly never read Superman. Why am I talking to you about it? Come on.
At best, they've watched the Arrowverse version. At best,
Oh yeah, I'll say something especially I say on this show specifically, I'm a member of the LGBT community more than I say anywhere else in my life, and it's just because I want to try to get the point across when I do talk about these things. But for me, growing up as a kid, especially in the late '80s, early '90s, I didn't see much representation, and for me, I felt alone. So seeing this, I understand that aspect. Now that I'm an adult, and I think we've had years of, slipping LGBT characters or characters of diversity in, I want more than just a, two-dimensional character that stands there because they're gay. I want a character that is a character fully formed and also gay or also black or also Asian. Like, you got to do more than just give this here you go. Look, we're, having diversity. Let's get on the
level treatment.
I've been saying it since day one. Midnighter and Apollo from The Authority, Warren Ellis, and Mark Millar. Those were fully formed characters who were gay. I'm like, that. You need talented writers like these guys to bring them out of the two-dimensional aspect. And unfortunately, we're not getting that.
Drew, I don't even know if you necessarily need talented writers. You just need writers that aren't objectively terrified. That are just not no. I feel like it's just like almost paralyzing fear after they've done it. Like, okay, we did it, and now I'm completely and utterly deer in headlights, terrified to do anything after this. Because they don't know whether or not they're going to make the right choice and run into fucking traffic. So they just sit there like a deer in headlights.
But part of it also is it's clearly agenda driven, and not because we're all sitting here and speculating and assuming that there are actually printed public statements. And some of you, I think it's the Creative Mags, who I'm not familiar with, Well, they've said outright this is what they're trying to do. It's like there was, and I'm failing to remember her name now, even though whenever somebody asks me this, probably the question, I give them the quote. But there was one of those conversations books done with, I would assume, is a somewhat LGBT creator who basically said that her goal was to make white straight males feel the same way she would feel if she were buying a comic book featuring someone who looked like them. So it's not beyond reason that some of it is just strictly being driven by an agenda. And I'm with Josh on this, is that I say it for myself at Animated Concepts all the time, and I'll say it to whoever comes up. Is my goal, whenever I'm creating a black character, is to create a character that can stand alongside the heroes in the Pantheon. That's what the point of it is. Somebody that you can naturally see being beside a Superman or a Batman or a Spider-Man or even a Spawn or TMNT. Because when you look at those heroes, that's what they've done. They've created heroes that in the pop culture, the public mindset, TMNT is just as much of a superhero and has just as much of a place as Superman or Superman as Batman. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do with those characters. And for that to happen, they have to be, in their own sense, as Josh said, fully realized with their own purpose, bringing something to the table that doesn't require them slapping the S shield or the bat symbol on their chest. So yeah,
That's kind of the whole
and that's
game.
going to take time and effort.
You know who Andrew Wheeler is, Gervain?
No.
Oh, I know.
To be the editor and
he's a
Doc. I
douche.
didn't ask you. He used to be the editor in chief of Comics Alliance, and he specifically said in an interview about 8 years ago that there never will be equality within the comic book industry until Captain America himself has a boyfriend.
Okay.
Right? Because you have to take the established character and remove it and make that character a part of the agenda and use that character to push it forward. We're just now seeing it really fully realized, at least in DC Comics.
Well, but that's basically, if I'm using the term right, that's hot-shotting it. So in other words, that's because Captain America is not who he is today simply because he's white and straight. I mean, the character had to be popular when it first came out. It went through a time when the character wasn't even being published at one point. The character came back and was embraced by the buying public, or the public as it was. And then he came out with a really cool movie called The Winter Soldier, where everybody pretty much, I think, and you can argue, was one of the best MCU movies that went out there. This took time and effort. Captain America has come to represent something that it's almost like what I say about Superman sometimes. Like, I'm not a Superman fan particularly. Like, I don't need to read the comics every month and this and that. But when I do like Superman is when you put him up against other heroes and he represents something. So you enjoy that interaction when Superman is doing his thing, even if he's only doing it for 5 minutes, you're never going to look at him again for the rest of the year. It's the same thing with Captain America. I said Captain America made his bones in Infinity Gauntlet. It was like after that, it was just like, yeah, okay. It's like when Cap shows up, whether you like Cap or not, you're waiting for Cap to be Cap. So for somebody to come along and say that the only way that Cap can be relevant or you have equality in the industry is to basically give him a boyfriend. No, what you do is that you give him someone who is either a foil or an equal, that you can say, yo, he can go toe-to-toe with Cap. And that's what people are going to buy into. I mean, Spawn ended up being a black man, but, for some people that's problematic because he was a disfigured black man who was basically the lead of this book. But basically, is his name? Now I'm forget because I'm thinking of the black guy, Terry Fitzgerald. Al Simmons. Thank you. Al Simmons is a black superhero that is arguably one of the most popular independent superheroes ever created. It just is. And then if you go to the Turtles, he's probably the most popular black superhero ever created, hands down. And nobody's going to say Spawn doesn't belong up in the lights with Superman or with Batman. They're not going to say that. But Spawn was popular right when he first came out. He sales may have fallen down a bit, but it's like that Spawn TV show was off the hook. I'm gonna leave that Spawn movie alone. Go ahead and reboot that soon. Yeah, but the simple fact of the matter is, Spawn is its own tentpole franchise. That's why he thinks he can go out and put out what is he about to do? 3 or 4? He's doing 3 or 4 comics of it now. Because that's what Spawn is. But guys, that's what you got to do. If you want to get it, if you want to do that, you have to create characters that can stand on their own 2 feet. Like we're talking about Invincible. Come on. It's like that thing is a multimedia franchise right now. All he's got to do is get the movie going in the Wheaties box, and he's in like Flint. He's he's off to the races. So yeah, it can't be done. It's just I've got no problem with race swapping in this sense, because if it wasn't for the race swapping stuff, I would never have War Machine. I love War Machine more than I love Iron Man. You know, I always like Falcon beforehand. I don't know if I so much like Cat Falcon that much, because I think with Cat Falcon, even in the MCU part, it still feels too much like he's in Steve Rogers' shadow. It's like he's DC's version of what is now Black Lightning. I can't stand. I can't stand that version of Black Lightning they got now. I want that old version I didn't hear about until Weston started talking about it. So yeah, you gotta create characters that can stand on their own. So
We've got a few super chats we need to get up. We got Yellow Spider-Man. Is Shang-Chi a superhero? MCU marketing says so. Doc, yes or no? Shang-Chi.
No.
There you go. Doc says no. That's the final answer.
He's just a master of kung fu.
To Josh and Skip, love your explanations on what makes Batman a superhero. Agree 100%. What else makes him a superhero is he's got lots of money, and there's nothing wrong with that. There ain't nothing wrong with having a little coin in your pocket, Skip.
Nah, give me some more. I want to be a superhero.
Absolutely.
Right.
If you got enough money to make superhero stuff happen, Josh.
I know. I need a different job or to win the lottery.
Why hasn't Jeff Bezos? Well, he's Lex Luthor. Sorry, I forgot. He's Lex Luthor. But why hasn't Elon Musk just like decided, hey, I'm gonna build a giant fucking mech? Like, why not?
Right.
I mean, like
he built a
already
rocket that goes to space and lands back on Earth.
yeah, that's a good point.
You know how hard that is?
I want him to build Voltron, damn it. Or a
You think he's
Gundam.
not working on it? You gotta get
something
there.
truly worthy of humanity.
You got to get to space and land it back on Earth before you build a Voltron. He's working on it.
Once
Plus,
a
we got that
fucking
My
Jaeger.
Pillow guy. When push came to shove, he stopped making pillows and started making face masks. That guy's a superhero, right?
No, he's just a guy with a factory.
Okay, the guy with the factory is not a superhero. You got to be Elon Musk. We got Mr. DC Comics. I disagree. People can't be Superman. Superman is what he can do. Clark Kent is who he is. It's not impossible to do the right thing and help people if you're in a position of power. Absolutely. In my opinion, the superhero of the duo is Clark Kent. And we saw that in Superman Up, Up, and Away when he lost his powers. He became the best investigative reporter in all of Metropolis, surpassing his wife, and was exposing crime and corruption all over the city. And he was saving people on a daily basis without his superpowers.
Yep. I'll just jump in. I think one of the things that makes Superman and Batman together so great is Batman is an average man, a normal man that can do above average and incredible things. And Superman is this alien that represents humanity better than almost any human being.
Yes.
So that
He humbles himself.
Yeah, that juxtaposition is why they've lasted so long. Love it.
Absolutely. Very good point, Mr. DC Comics. We got Kenneth Dally once again. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Batman's Hellbat suit wasn't made by Bruce Lode. Superman forged it in the sun. Wonder Woman blessed it with magic. A lot of people helped make that suit. Lucius Fox builds most of Batman's stuff.
That's right.
Yeah,
Lucius
but
Fox is the real
you
superhero.
know, Bruce Wayne pays Lucius Fox. You know what I mean? Does he not get credit?
That's true too.
What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, like the whole argument about that, or the reason that was brought up was Tony Stark and his mech suit. So, is it the suit or is it the man? My comment is, where the hell's Harold?
Where the fuck is Harold?
Yeah.
Where's he been?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Have we even seen him since before the new 52?
I think there was like one random issue somewhere between New 52 and Rebirth that either referenced him. I think he was referenced like once, but we haven't actually seen him.
Wow.
Someone will correct me if I'm wrong. I've read too many comics and I'm getting old.
I'm with you on there. We got Wolfstein 3D. Most of these creators aren't people with multiple interests and also LGBT. They are LGBT first and foremost. That's reflected in the characters. I get that feeling, Josh. I mean, obviously, I don't know them personally, but you can kind of see if your whole like personal identity is built around something, that it would be very difficult for you to go and do something professionally, not try to incorporate it in there.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I'm going to be honest, if I got hired to write a book right now, there would definitely be an LGBT character in there. I don't know if it'd be the lead, but as a person, I would want to represent what my vision, what I see, and I guess what I want to have a commentary on for quote unquote my community, and put it out there. I will also say I tend to disagree with my community. Like, we don't have the same sights on things. And I think that is needed as well. But I'm a firm believer that you're more than your sexuality. You're more than, who you love or what you love. Like Wes, you're defined by, you're more than just, you and your wife. There's an individual person there. And that's what I would want to explore.
Oh, yeah. She's the ball and chain holding me back, Josh.
Yeah. So,
ain't no doubt about it.
I'm just saying, even with
now
straight
you're
couples,
definitely getting poisoned.
what I was going to say, like, we have so many gay people that live and they put that first, and I wish they wouldn't put that as their main identity. But if they want to, fine. But you have a lot of straight couples too that they define themselves by their marriage or who they're with, and that is that. And I'm not saying you
with the lady.
Yeah,
she only referred to her husband as my husband.
Yeah,
it's like, what's his goddamn name? We're supposed to go out. It's like, does he have you just say Harold or whatever his name is, and I don't want to hear about everything he does.
Right.
I don't need to hear
Well,
about people that are more interesting than me.
Lost in the Batcave.
That's all right. If I get called Mr. De Jesus one more time, that's all I'm gonna say.
Oh, we don't want that right again. We got Lade Kramer here. He says the top Cap moment: Cap versus Kang and King Dynasty story from Busiek with Thor's hammer. Thor says no other Avengers are needed to beat Kang. Awesome one-on-one fight. What do you think, Doc? Is that number one?
Wait, who?
Cap versus Kang in Kang Dynasty, where he finally picks up Thor's hammer.
No, I'm trying to remember
was
that the first time? Was that the first time he picked up the hammer?
No, it wasn't.
He just says he picks it up.
Oh, okay. He's right. I mean, but all that is showing you the worthiness of Cap. Yep. Cap's a wonderful. He is a very ethically and morally pure. I wouldn't say pure, but his moral compass points in true north.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Superman and Superman Up and Away. What's Clark Kent? He kind of saves the day. One of the Green Lanterns kind of meets him on the rooftop. I believe is it Kyle Rayner or Hal? I don't remember which one, but they say, listen, you're a superhero with or without the powers. We have a place for you in the Green Lantern Corps. And they give him the ring, and he starts elevating, and he's covered in green, but he's still wearing his clothes, and he's still got his glasses on because that's who he saw himself as.
Yeah.
But, he was always a hero. I like that moment kind of reflects who he truly is.
Yeah. I mean, and that, interestingly enough, for how terrible of a human being I've seen Kurt Busiek be, he actually understands what
he wrote Superman Up and Away.
Heroic characters. Now, he couldn't be one if his life depended on it, but he really has a good grasp on that, and he recognizes where his superhero's moral compass should be pointing.
So we got Common Sense here chiming in. He says, Miguel Bontes from Dial H from Heroes, openly bisexual. He has written more as a good character with dreams, flaws, and growth that readers can relate to. Actually, there's a whole host of LGBTQ plus representative characters, Josh, within the DC universe that they can draw on. I believe it's over 300 characters, but they just never use them.
No. Well, I mean, even outside of this, there's this whole thing now. I don't want to call it an agenda, but it's pretty much an agenda of look what we're doing now, and then creating this lie that we've never done this before. And I think they want to purposely try to get you to forget some of these things until it's convenient for them to remind you, oh, here's this character as well. Let's do this anthology book with all these, characters of a certain race or characters of a certain sexuality. But yeah, I mean, we mentioned Midnighter and Apollo. I think if you go back to Rucka and Williams' Batwoman, that first arc especially is just an outstanding book, so that's the stuff that I want to see. I mentioned Doc's gonna cringe, but I mentioned Tom Taylor's Suicide Squad last week. He had multiple LGBTQ characters in there, and it was never really a dog and pony show of here's a press release, here's this, aren't we amazing? They were just there and they had their stories and they fit in their place, and it was an entertaining book until it had to get rushed to end.
But then it got canceled because it didn't get sales.
No,
Yeah,
it
maybe
was
they should
selling
have done a press
fine.
release.
It was selling fine. It got canceled because of the film.
Future state.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And Peacemaker and all that stuff. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
right. We got Legion of Comics chiming in. He says, "Why are so many so critical of DC currently when Marvel has been more progressive for longer and neither are really a problem?" Thoughts? I've been critical of Marvel as well when I first started the channel, but it's DC Comics that are kind of pushing forward with the progressive agenda right now, which is why I'm covering it here on the channel. Does anyone else have any thoughts on what Legion of Comics is saying here?
This is where Marvel was back in 2017, 2016, the all new, all different era. This is
2016,
DC's all new, all different era.
Yep.
Right now.
And you know, we shit all over that for 4 years. I mean, we got some mileage out of that one. We've just given up expectation that they're going to recognize their mistakes.
Yeah.
And we're moving on to the people that are currently making the same stupid mistakes while they still have an opportunity to stop making them.
Yeah, but I think the other part is just about the question. Yeah, is just saying that neither are really a problem, and I guess the question is, what are we defining as problem? Because if they're not selling less books as a result of doing that, then it's like, is it like no harm, no foul, or is it
But they are.
Yeah.
Well,
They're selling
Superman
less books.
Son of Kal-El certainly isn't selling less books, but we did hear directly from Peter Gabriel, the marketing director from Marvel at the time. It said,
David. Peter Gabriel's the guy from Genesis.
That's my bad. David Gabriel, who's the marketing director at Marvel, went on the record and said, "Hey, we're having trouble selling these things. These changes that we've made have not resonated with people, and they kind of dropped our titles. Whether DC can go down the same path and do it properly this time and continue sales is to be seen. But we're seeing a trend that we've witnessed before in comic books.
And Marvel has had to, in order to maintain or exceed the sales that they were getting on regular monthly, standard continuous serialized books, they've had to go to an all event all the time schedule.
Yeah.
That's the only way that they can get to the same sales numbers that they used to get on just a run of the mill mundane, random September issue of Spider-Man or X-Men or Captain America or Fantastic Four. Now it's got to be an event in order to get to the same numbers.
We got Kenneth Dallin saying amen to Gevian and Josh on their points on creating well-rounded Black characters and LGBT characters that stand on their own. Absolutely. I think everybody wants a character that's well-rounded and fully fleshed out. Nobody wants anything that's two-dimensional. We got Federico De La Casa. One of my favorite DC heroes is Steel. He's Black and American. I'm not sure he was written very well and stands next to Soups, but now he's forgotten. Stuff from Wheezy was great.
If you read not just that, go back to like after Infinite Crisis with the 52 series when he was like the focus. Him and his niece, I believe, they were the focus. And there's great J.G. Jones covers where like you see him. He took down Luthor. Steel took down Luthor. Some great stuff there. If you haven't read those, check it out. 52.
You're about to say something, Jermaine?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I think the problem with Steel was that basically part of it was he was part of that whole reign of Superman thing, and it wasn't like unique. So it wasn't like, in a sense, it wasn't like, okay, there was Clark either handing off the baton to Steel, which some people might have had a problem with, or even the fact that Steel came along was serving as some kind of either a compliment or just a different view of the American dream, if you will, than Clark had. I just think, his name was John Henry Irons, which was somewhat derivative. There was the whole, banging the hammer thing. It was just like, he definitely was a popular character, so I don't want to take that away. You don't get to the point of Shaquille O'Neal being in a Steel movie. That ruined it, and that's why I thought it killed it. It was just like, let it breathe for a minute, kind of get some legs under it before you jump right to it. But it's like, there definitely was an appeal for that kind of type of character, but I agree. I don't think he was written well enough that it was like he didn't become anything other than just like Superman and Superboy at the time's really cool black friend. That was pretty much about it. But I mean, I didn't even like the necessarily Superboy Con-El version of that character. I didn't like that version of it. But it's like, it felt like to me, it just felt like he got a bigger push than he should have. But maybe the sales in his book were better than everyone else's, and that's why he spun them off. But I never liked that Superboy version. But yeah, I would agree, not well written.
And Kenneth Dowling says to Doc's question, hell yeah, I've asked the same question. There are over 100 billionaires in this country. Why haven't they gotten off their asses and started fighting crime?
Well, most of them are fat and old.
That's what I was about to say.
But there's a handful of them that can at least build a giant fucking mech suit.
Isn't Michael Jordan a billionaire? He's probably still in shape.
Hey, Tiger could probably do it. He's a
Nah,
billionaire.
Tiger's on the shelf, man. He's hurt.
That's what
Didn't
the
he
mech
break his
suit's
leg?
for. That's what the mech suit's for.
All right, well, then maybe. He's just going around with the driver knocking people out.
Possibly.
Game criminals. Kenneth Dowling also says, Josh, I thought Harold was killed in Hush, but I saw him brought back somewhere in New 52. I think he's lost in limbo.
Yeah, he's definitely lost. I'm trying to remember. I feel like he was either mentioned or popped up in something in the New 52 or Rebirth, but I genuinely cannot remember. Drew, was he killed in Hush?
Yeah, I think that's second to last issue. He isn't.
That's right.
Cemetery,
That's right.
I think. Yeah, because he was able to talk again, and yeah.
Hot take, because I'm pissing people off today. Hush is not as good as people think it is.
Dude, you got to save that for the next thing. We're doing a shitty comic book takes in the next segment.
Fine. We can
got
segue
Evan out here. Where is Renee Montoya as the question number 2? Where is she?
Same place that Doc said they were just gonna go.
She's the fucking
God,
police commissioner in the god awful fear state story that's going on that just needs to stop.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
Put us out of our
I can't
misery,
trust you,
please.
Batman. I believe everything you're saying, but you're going to have to give me some evidence. What? Get out of here with that nonsense. I don't know. We didn't really go as in depth on this subject as I imagined, but we definitely talked about it enough. Does anybody else have anything to say about the current state of DC Comics and they're pushing? Certainly, it feels like a social agenda within their comic books right now.
Let's see where it's at in May. Let's see where we're at in May. See what happens.
Nothing would make me happier to see them prove me wrong. I'll say that.
Yep.
I'm just wondering, once the sales wear off on this one, who are they going to turn gay next? I mean, once they run out of people to turn gay, that's that. Where do we go? What's the next step after that? Come on. What do we do next? Because that's all they're going to have.
You're going to walk us into some dangerous territory here.
I'm going to shut up.
You make a fair point. I'll give you that. We got MG from north of the border in Canada. Sexuality now reminds me of what CrossFit or vegans used to be. Do you know the first rule of CrossFit? Never shut up about CrossFit. People become it.
Vegans and bicyclists too. Fuck bicyclists.
CrossFitters are the worst, and they're so dangerous because they've never really worked out in their lives, and they're always trying to hurt you in the gym. Or next thing you know, they start blowing out, running out of the fucking gym into the middle of the road as you're driving next to the gym. Like fucking CrossFitters.
Oh, I don't know.
Absolutely.
Bicyclists are pretty up there. Those assholes want to be on the road, but they don't want to follow any road signs. Fuck those.
There are rules of the road for bicyclists.
And they ignore all of them.
We've got Kenneth Dowling. Doc, if they're fat and old, they own gyms and can afford trainers and martial arts teachers. Absolutely. 6 months of intense training and go to work and save the world.
I mean, yeah, but I mean, I've seen Ron Burkle. He ain't going to the gym.
Well, we don't need Ron Burkle. Maybe it's another one of those billionaires that could do it. Very good point. Thank you so much, Kenneth Dowling. I think we'll go. Let's get on to these shitty comic book takes. We talked about this DC Comics agenda stuff well enough. I do want to say thank you very much to everyone that supported the channel. How are we doing on likes? I know we're over 100. We are at 110.
I got a 111.
That's fantastic. If you're watching the channel, if you haven't given us a thumbs up to let everybody else know that we're having a fantastic time, if you could do that, we would really appreciate the support. Let's see if we can get up to 150 by the end of it. I think we can probably do it. We got Callum Wild. They might turn superheroes into hermaphrodites. Exactly. That's why I said for Doc to stop. I knew where he was going to go. Yeah, I know. I got it. Callum,
he's
very
encouraging
good
the herd.
Callum.
Look, it's only a matter. Well, I guess technically, was Hedwig? No, Hedwig was not a hermaphrodite, right? Hedwig and the Angry Inch. I don't know. I might be losing people with this. It's a play.
Oh, it's a play. Okay.
Hedwig, that was one of the personalities in was it Split, right? Wasn't that
Split,
the little kid?
Hedwig was one of the personalities, yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, Josh? You talking about?
No. There's a play, and they ended up making it into a film. It's a musical called Hedwig and the Angry Inch, and I'm trying to remember if they just transitioned or if they were born a hermaphrodite. I can't remember. I was gonna make a
Wikipedia
joke.
that shit.
I know. I was gonna make a joke about DC or Marvel bringing Hedwig in as a superhero because they dress up in costumes and have wings and everything else. So it was a bad joke. Bad joke.
Let's get into these hated comic book opinions. There's the director of I think it's called the Marvels, whatever the Captain Marvel 2 movie is. I don't know the name of the director, but I think this director makes a pretty damn good point that really it's Captain America's fault that the Thanos snap happened because he decided to save Vision, and rather than just sacrificing Vision and destroying the Mind Stone and saving the entire universe. He tried to save him, which ended up killing everybody, at least half the population.
No.
Jesus, Josh, you're chilling at the bit. Get in here, buddy.
So I've had friends that have read this story or heard part of this story and come up to me and been like, yo, blah, 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 blah. Like it's Cap's fault. It's bullshit. And we already know that because in Infinity War, they destroy the Mind Stone. It gets destroyed before Thanos gets it. And what does he do? He brings it back. So whether freaking Wanda destroys it or Cap destroys it, it's getting brought back. If there's anyone to blame, it's Star-Lord.
I kind of like Star-Lord. I like Pratt. But he does get distracted as they're pulling the gauntlet off. I know
they had him, and then he started punching him because he couldn't control his emotions. So if there's anyone,
Gamora?
Yeah,
Gamora?
Anyone that could remotely be blamed, potentially, it's Star-Lord. Even then, it's like a 50-50. I'm glad. What's this person's name? The director?
Oh man, you're gonna make me look.
I know. I
don't know.
Somebody that's never directed anything, and anybody else.
There you go.
Look, I'm glad they're not writing. So
okay, the Costa. No, Josh is right. Well, Josh is right. He lost. We went 50-50. It's totally Star-Lord's fault. It's absolutely his fault. Iron Man and Spider-Man had the freaking glove on pretty much off. If he had whacked him in the head 5 times and he was like, oh, snap, and brought it back, come on. It's like everybody was pulling, and on top of that, everybody but Star-Lord at the time was pulling their weight in terms of getting the job done. You got Drax holding him by the legs, Mantis is keeping them mind-addled, and Peter and Tony are trying to rip the thing off. I don't know where Strange was when this was going on, but you got this one entitled, well, Nebula was off grieving the loss of Gamora, but you got this Star-Lord here just running his mouth, his plan, whatever it is. Okay, it was his plan, which he did immediately kneecapped. It got half the universe killed. That clearly was his fault. I didn't even get the cap.
That's why I'm blaming Doctor Strange, because he had the Time Stone and could have stopped Star-Lord from doing that and being like, hey, we got the shit. Or he could just use the Time Stone to go back and kill baby Thanos, and then problem solved.
That never works.
then it's going to create that comic book series that Donny Cates wrote where Thanos becomes the Punisher. He's going to
basically.
Oh yeah. The Ghost Rider. Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Yeah.
Cosmic Ghost. Yeah. No, but okay. Now that's an interesting point about Doctor Strange. I had thought about that. That basically he could have either stopped that or rewound it. And then basically somebody needed to take Quill out before he ended up doing what he did. But it's like, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Someone said it's the Eternals' fault. Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's the Eternals' fault for not even being there and just like sitting that the fuck out. They're like, yeah, we've been here forever, and we're just gonna totally sit this one out. It's fine. No, it's well, actually, it's their fault for being terrible characters that nobody cares about, has ever cared about, or will ever care about. So we could just blame him for everything. In fact, actually, I think we should blame Jack Kirby for bothering to pick up his scraps off the New Gods cutting room floor and then selling them to Marvel as new characters.
Marvel bought them.
Yeah, I know, but they bought them because Jack made them, not because. But Jack, I mean, hey, more power to him. But he sold him he sold him his trash. Like literally the stuff that he decided, nah, this stuff sucks, and I'm not putting it into the New Gods. I'm not putting it into the Fourth World. So yeah, no, blame Jack.
I tried to
Yeah,
explain it to my parents. My parents just tapped out with it. They're like, this does not sound fun. I'm like, that's exactly it. This is not fun.
No, it's something where, yeah, I think Josh makes a great point. It's like, yeah, it wasn't like they weren't willing to do it. They did do it. And then it's a simple fact of the matter is he just rewound it and basically said, nice try, good effort, blah, kills him anyway, and it takes a stone. But then, I think that gives more credence to Doc's theory that it's Strange's fault, because if he had stopped that nonsense going on what was it, Titan? That's what it's supposed to be. That's what the world they want, Titan. Then you wouldn't even have to be worried about that. But beyond that, it's Star-Lord's fault. It's clear it's Star-Lord's fault. He put his emotions above everything else, and the mission was to get that damn glove off of Thanos' hand, and they almost had it, and he screwed it up. And that's all there is to it. I like Quill, but he was dead wrong. Dead wrong.
I was thinking about this more like on a human level, where like she's considering, because Vision was becoming more, I don't want to say he's becoming human, but he was showing human aspects. And it's like he was evolving, and it's like you're asking Cap to kill a living being, essentially. You're asking him to kill someone who doesn't want to be killed, who's becoming human. It's like he's innocent, and it really reminded me of a Star Trek episode called "The Measure of a Man" about Data, and they wanted to shut him down. I'm like, clearly this person has never seen Star Trek or seen that episode, or just thought about that for a minute.
Oh no, it's are you willing? It's like kind of like Doc was saying. It's like you go back in time, you kill baby Thanos. So I go to the whole Clint Eastwood thing with Unforgiven. It's like he says it's a hell of a thing killing a man. You take away everything they are, everything they were, and everything they ever will be. So it's like you're robbing them ultimately of the choice of determining for themselves. So really, the solution would have been for Vision to basically take himself out.
Yes, his choice. Yeah,
make it his choice to do that. But it's like, that whole Hitler's dilemma thing, the dilemma of baby Hitler is that the only way that you can do that is that you better make damn sure there's no such thing as parallel universes, because that means you don't know which one that you're creating by making the choice of taking out baby Hitler. Maybe baby Hitler had to happen.
There's also a much more simple solution. This writer or this director is a fucking idiot that doesn't know comics.
You guys aren't talking about your own dipshit comic opinions. Why are you talking about this lady still? You're supposed to be talking about the stuff that you think that's really stupid.
Because we went down the rabbit hole of Doctor Strange and what he could have done, unfortunately.
Here's my stupid comic book opinion. Based on what we saw in Tom King's Batman run, Gotham Girl is the most powerful superhero of the DC universe. We saw her take Captain Atom, kick him in his ass, and he flew about 2 states away, and he was in the hospital bed crying about how bad he got his butt kicked. Captain Atom has fought Superman to a standstill.
Yeah.
Where is Gotham Girl?
Exactly.
I mean, let's be honest. This is very much a Tom King thing to do, because not only did he OP Gotham Girl, he had freaking Selena take out Flash like he was nothing. Harley Quinn beat the entire Trinity. You've got there was something. For me, Earth 2 Batman taking out the entire Bat family. Like, come on, go screw yourself.
Sorry. All right, Josh, what are your stupid opinions? What's your thing that you think that everyone hates when you say it?
Oh, that Hush is not as good as it is.
That's just the art. Have you seen the art?
Yeah, no, the art's great. The art's excellent, but the story itself, you've got all these people putting in their top 10 Batman lists. I'm like, go read more Batman. I'll make some recommendations for you. Honestly, I don't even know if I'd put it in my top 20 list, if I'm being completely honest. It's fine. It's a decent book. It's not as great as people make it out to be.
All right, Doc, are you going to defend Jim Lee here? What are you doing here? You're not jumping on his honor?
It was. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it was a solid run of the mill Batman story. It's not groundbreaking. It was just very. I like those stories of superheroes running the gauntlet, though.
Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, the art storytelling wise, it was very, very well done. It was kind of almost a master class in art storytelling. But the the actual plot of it, that because it got called so early on what the planned ending was, they had to swerve, kind of like Armageddon 2001 and everything else, where everybody called what the ending was, so they had to change it, and it made it kind of crappy as a result. Like, it should have been Jason Todd, like everybody
Speaking of making things crappy, Callum Lyle wants to make the channel crappy by saying, I agree with Doc.
Yep.
Jesus, man. Like Ryan Johnson on Star Wars and Kevin Smith on He-Man. This is obviously in reference to something that I wasn't here for. Doc, did you actually make a good point once?
Yeah.
Probably. I don't know.
I think this is in reference to Nia DaCosta not knowing the characters in comics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
But-
Okay, Doc got
Hey,
one right.
look, Wes, Doc actually, at least he made a couple of good points where he was right while you were gone. You know, that way you didn't have to like swallow
If I
that.
wasn't here, it didn't happen.
I
Right?
know.
Just shoot all the woods if you weren't there to see it. What do you think,
right.
Drew? You're a comic retailer. What's one of those opinions that you say in the comic shop where everyone's like, "You, sir, are a fool."
I've said it, so I got it good. I get it good every week this book comes out. I hate the series Eat the Rich. I think it's incredibly lazy.
Thank you.
Sean
Yeah,
loves
that's
it to death. Sean thinks it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. So do some of the customers. And I am not the biggest fan of James Tynion. I'm not. I'm sorry. It's like he is not the greatest writer on the planet.
He's the slowest writer on the planet.
Yes, he is the master of decompressed storytelling. I'll say that.
I'll give you
But
that. Yep.
it's just he's not a fun writer, and I hate Eat the Rich.
I read Eat the Rich, and it was just so disappointing. It was like, what could you do with this? Oh, the most boring, like expected story possible.
Yeah, I say it every time. If you think this is great, watch the movie Society from the 80s. You want to talk about a disgusting horror movie with the same kind of concept? Watch that. You're never going to forget that. Whereas you'll probably forget this comic book series.
The other one is The Me You Love in the Dark. Did you read that one?
I did. I think that came out a few years ago. I think.
No,
it's
from Scotty
new.
Young.
Yeah.
It just came out.
Okay. I have not read.
It was
okay,
so
Scotty Young.
boring. It was just a lady in a house that might be haunted. That was the first issue.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I remember reading that one. It's like really, it's like a Lifetime movie, and like I didn't get it.
It was like, this is the best ever. I was like, this is
No.
nothing happens.
Yeah.
I made the comment to my LCS owner that when I read the first issue, I was like, it's like watching paint dry. And he goes, and the book's about painting.
Yeah.
Or she paints in the book. So, but yeah, no, that was bad.
Yeah, it sucks so bad. Kenneth Dowling says, I like Star-Lord too, but it was all his fault. Absolutely. Now that you
Amen,
guys
brother.
bring it up, it was Star-Lord's fault initially, but I also think Captain America owns it up a little bit too. He could have made the decision to just off Vision. Vision's not American, first of all. He's not even human.
Did you miss my argument?
Yeah.
I'm about to start throwing Batman the Animated Series slurs back at you, man.
Man, I don't need that
It
crap.
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if he destroys the stone or not. Like, as soon as Thanos has the time stone, it doesn't matter, and he's got the time stone.
Speaking of doesn't matter, Batman the Animated Series doesn't matter. That's my
Oh,
opinion.
Oh, wait a
I'm
minute.
quitting
Now.
the show. I'm done.
Yeah.
Overrated.
I do have a
Oh,
question,
come
though.
on.
This
Oh my
is
goodness.
one
You
that
got-
I would
made
like.
Skip leave.
Oh wow.
Oh man, I didn't think it was that offensive. Oh my goodness. Hopefully he comes back.
He'll be back in like 2 minutes.
Maybe.
I do have a question for everyone. Since you did bring up a good point about James Tynion and his level of decompression.
Mhm.
Once it reaches a certain point, doesn't it need a new term? I was thinking gaseous. It is now spread out
Obnoxious.
so far that it's not even storytelling anymore. It's just
Well,
some sort of gaseous plot concept.
I was gonna make that joke when Drew said James Tynion's decompressed storytelling. I was gonna say, you mean James Tynion's decompressed?
You'll get there eventually. You pay it off.
Wait
But-
for
Oh
it.
my goodness. I drove Skip out with the Batman talk. I didn't mean to upset your precious there, Skip. I didn't know that Batman the Animated Series was so important to you.
I thought I knew you. Thought we
Yeah,
were
right.
friends. I thought we were brothers.
My goodness. You read James Tynion, right?
I only read one. Actually, that's funny because that's my bad hot take or whatever. Is that I don't really like James Tynion as a writer either, and I refuse. And I repeat, I refuse to read Something Is Killing the Children. And everybody always gets on my helmet about it when I'm in the comic shop and everybody's talking. So there is one Tynion book that I am reading, and literally every issue I'm like, this is probably going to be my last one because this is way too slow and way too decompressed, although it's very interesting. And then Nalo, a friend of the channel, Nalo, comes in. He's like, no, man, this one, another good one. You got to read it. And then I read it and I'm like, the whole time I feel like it's a chore until I get to the end and then I'm done. And I'm like, okay, that was good. It was good. It was too damn slow. And everybody has to talk about some odd particular quirk that they're dealing with or what, I don't know. But it is good. Nice House on the Lake.
Yeah, I guess that's how I
Yeah,
feel
the
when I
problem
read
is-
Joker. I'm always just disappointed. Like, nothing
no.
happened.
The problem with the decompressive storytelling is that it's just you just realize there are way too many M. Night Shyamalan fans. Because that's the problem with M. Night Shyamalan. It's like you stretch this joint all the way out, and the thing is just like it becomes an all or nothing proposition. It's like, yo, that joint better pay off at the end or it doesn't. And if it doesn't pay off at the end, it's like, yo, bro, you just wasted like 2 hours of my life watching this. So it was all cool when it was, what was the first one? I See Dead People, whatever that
Sixth
movie was.
Sense.
It was cool when it was Sixth Sense. And Unbreakable was like, oh, okay, it's Superman and Lex Luthor happening. But then when it got to The Village, and it was just like, oh, dang, son, you went and did the Outer Limits or a Twilight Zone episode. It was the thing that Lin Wein was trying to warn Alan Moore against with The Watchmen, but it actually happened this time. It's like, no. And it's like when you're doing storytelling where it all relies on the payoff, it's like, bruh, the only way that joint gets over is that payoff better be like, yo, I never saw that joint coming. So it's like, I'll read Something That's Killing the Children. It's funny because it's actually one of my 2 decompressed storytelling books I allow. I have an allowance, and that's Firepower being one, and Something Killing the Children being other. But it's like, yo, dude, if this joint don't pay off at some point, especially Firepower, they got to like 24 with me. If that joint doesn't pay off in like a real annual or something, I'm out. But it's like, yeah.
Apparently, I've turned full here. We've got Aaron Boggs, the sound of 10,000 subscribers, unsubbing. Apparently, because of the animated series.
Oh, you want to get rid of the last 3?
Apparently, If For Me or Death says Nice House on the Lake is excellent. So
the only way I could say that being if it's excellent is if you've never watched The Twilight Zone, The Outer Limits.
Yep.
Hell, Night Gallery. If you've never seen any of those, then you probably think it's excellent. But me,
the only thing I'll say though, Drew, is the art is really good, and that's part of what keeps me in. I really like the art in Nice House on the Lake.
Art is solid. I'll say that.
Yeah, but the concept, like if you've watched The Outer Limits or Twilight Zone, any of that, it's just like a decompress. Like they would have done this whole story in 30 minutes.
Yes.
The real thing is the remedy to this is just go to Netflix and watch Black Mirror because they do it a lot better over there.
There you go.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We got BC says, Wes, fake geek girl confirmed. Got a point there. Aaron Boggs, love you, but from now on, you're lowercase Wes. Can't even the respect of a capital letter in my name. Hated opinion from LK. I like Identity Crisis.
Yeah, you're going to get some hate from me on that one. Yep. Yeah, man, no.
That did have a cool Deathstroke fight. That was an awesome Deathstroke fight with the Justice
No, that's
League.
true. See, that's out. I'll give you that. Yeah.
Identity Crisis is one of those that's like there's some elements that are really, really good, and there's some things that are just so egregious that I'm like, if I rarely pick it up to read it. I think I've only read it twice, but I'll read it and I'm like, oh, this is better than I remember. Then I'll read something like throwing the book across the room.
I think if Keith Giffen was making this point, I'm with him. He said, and I think it was in regards to Identity Crisis. He was like, you think that we haven't been asking for years to do the kind of stuff that they were doing in that book, and the editors just wouldn't let us do it. The company will let us do it. And I'm like, yeah, Keith, you're right. Because now that they've done it, there was a reason why they wouldn't let you do that crap. It's like Identity. I mean, after Identity Crisis, I was so disgusted after reading that book. I was like, it's only a matter of time, but they did disappoint me. before basically we find out that basically Speedy date raped one girl. I was like, that's obviously where they were going with this kind of stuff. And I'm just like, I am not on board for that nonsense. I'm out. And because that's just what the vibe was. It was like, well, we can't come up with any good villains and we can't come up with good storylines. And I don't want to create anything because I won't get any of the rights of it. So I'm just going to take what I have here and just tear it down mercilessly. And I'm just like, yeah, bruh, I ain't here for that. I mean, it was a cool premise. I mean, it was like sort of canon and it kind of made sense. But it was just once it got to the fact that it was like there was this shadow chamber, for those of you who know that movie, in the Justice League. That's when I was done. It was just like, really, and then you're gonna mind white Batman on top of everything else. It's just,
There you go. You got a little rain out of that. We got Kenneth Dallin coming in with his hot take. My opinion, it's probably a hot take. I feel Jason Todd should have stayed dead. Listen, I love Red Hood. He's such a good character, but it kind of opened the floodgates for just to bring back every character that you ever killed. So
honestly,
kind of
no. Bringing Bucky back was what really opened the floodgates for that. But once you did Winter Soldier, Winter Soldier happened
Jason
first.
Todd.
No,
was it?
No, Winter Soldier.
Did those happen at around the same time? No.
They were very shortly right after another.
It felt derivative. Like whichever one came first, the second one definitely felt like somebody just found out, like when they were dropping it and decided to start doing it. I'm like, oh, come on, guys, be a little more creative than that. But it's like,
okay, so Under the Red Hood debuted in November 2004. Let's see. Captain America Winter Soldier.
Captain America. It would have been Captain America #1 or 2 from the Brubaker. That's when they first started showing him in Shadow.
I would argue if you're gonna have the Red Hood discussion, you actually have to go to Hush because they had that fake out in Hush before.
It was supposed to be.
That's true.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm in agreement. I don't like that they brought Jason Todd back. I kind of wish they would have kept him dead or brought him back and had him die relatively soon. That is a personal thing for me though, because I felt like you spent the 80s and 90s and they kind of set up Huntress as the what Jason Todd is. Like she's the one that says she was the Punisher of DC Universe. Like you're the half measure. And they took that away from her. They took her whole origin and backstory and just like really watered it down. That kind of explained. Now, actually, this is a hot take. Huntress is one of my favorite characters, and I hate how they write her now because they just write her as an angry woman as opposed to like someone that was abused, that got raped, and that was a teacher because she wanted to protect kids. Like that whole element. But that's a me thing.
Yeah, and to bring it back, Jason Todd ruins the payoff from Dark Knight Returns when you had the whole thing of Jason's outfit being held up in memorial in the cave. It was just like oh man, that's how it happened, and now it's like pretty much got erased. So I mean, bringing back Jason was very problematic. I mean, and it doesn't negate that there weren't some good stories that came out of it. So I'm not, believe me, I'm not saying that. I mean, the whole Three Jokers thing to this day, I hold up that whole revelation of what happened between him and Joker. That that at least cements Jason's spot going forward because that makes him such more of a deeper character than he was before.
Yeah, he's my favorite Bat Family character. One of my favorite characters at DC, if not my favorite character at DC. And I would be completely fine if they had not brought him back. And I just continued on with Huntress and gave her that space.
I will say
it's the same year. I'm having troubles here.
Yeah,
sorry.
Yeah, they both came out in 2004, both in the fall. So they were basically both simultaneous.
No, Captain America #1 came out in 2005.
No, Captain America #1 came out November 17th, 2004. That was his street release date. Its cover date was in 2005. I know. I'm looking at it right
after Under the Red Hood.
I'm telling you what its actual release date was.
But you're telling me you were wrong. Is what you're telling me.
Okay, fine.
All right, hey, I just wanted to hear it from your mouth. Okay. You knew this the whole time while I was looking, and you knew the answer.
I thought you were. I didn't even know you were still looking for the Captain America one, or else I would have just.
You didn't see me typing?
No, I wasn't looking. I'm not looking at the screen.
Well, you should check it out.
Like,
well, whatever, man.
there were a lot of great stories that came out from Marvel and DC. I just remember that.
Kenneth Dallin says, Wes, Batman the Animated Series is the Bible for superhero TV shows. Kevin Conroy as Batman, but I'm a forgiving person, so your hate doesn't faze me. The world's greatest, obviously comic book related series or TV show is Gotham. We all know that one. So
I've never watched it.
Sorry, Josh.
Okay.
I have no comment.
What is it? Agents
Vomited
of Shield?
a little bit. Ugh.
Agents of Shield is so
sure.
good too.
That was,
Hey! Agents of Shield is actually damn good.
It got
After
good
about
after
4
season
seasons.
2. Season
Yeah.
2.
Even
right
in
at the
season-
end of
look.
season 2.
Even season 1, there's a lot. If you cut out maybe 4 or 5 episodes early on in season 1, which people are like, well, those episodes are there, they exist. You got to understand, they started the show, and I think like 2 or 3 episodes in, they found out, hey, like we're dismantling Shield. You kind of had to ride around some stuff, but there's some quality writing in season 1 of Shield, and then it just grows and grows and grows and grows. So
I don't know. It's kind of rough if you go read that Nick Fury series by was it Jonathan Hickman? You have this really cool version of Quake, and then you get into that series, and it's like the less cool version of Quake.
Speaking,
Oh yeah.
Quake
Speaking
by like
of-
season 3, 4
Yeah.
was a total badass though.
Not
I mean,
as
they
cool
let
as
her
Jonathan
grow.
Hickman's.
They let her grow.
Skip
Speaking-
Toman's wrong. Come on.
Go ahead, Skip. If you want.
Oh wait, what am I supposed to be doing?
Tell him he's wrong about Quake. What are you doing, man?
Wait, which version? That's from Shield or from Secret Warriors?
Hickman's version's better, right?
Yeah, Hickman's version is better because it was more of that type of character out the gate. But in the show, they gave her like a story arc, so she starts out like more cookie cutter and just like a hacker type, and then she eventually turns into the Hickman version of Quake.
The best thing about that show was her mom. You know what I'm saying?
Her Dishin Lockman?
Yeah, there we go.
What? No, her mom.
Yeah.
No,
She's just hot.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine. Go watch Dollhouse. She's better in Dollhouse.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I will say
I don't watch
if
Joss
there's
Whedon anymore.
if there's one thing that I pull from Shield that I love, it's Fitzsimmons. Like you haven't.
I don't
seen
like that
anything
they have the same
Fitzsimmons.
character twice. You have a boy version and a girl version.
Oh no, they're very different. They're very different. Like especially as you start going on, they're
Nerdy
super
character
different.
with a British voice. Same character.
No,
Oh, Wes.
Well, here,
you heard it here first, people. Wes hates British nerds.
That's not
Yep.
true. I lived in England for 5 years, man. I love British people.
it's my job on this channel to yell at foreigners. Come on, and tell them they're wrong about things.
We've got a super chat. Kenneth Dowling says, I remember when Gervais said on the aficionados that they did Red Hood and Winter Soldier around the time. Well, it turns out Doc was absolutely wrong on that one. Red Hood came out first. So really, Ed Brubaker was copying.
Yeah, but it was like within a year. But it was within a year. Within a year.
It was
of each
actually
other,
within
right?
2
Something like
months.
that.
2 months.
It was 2 months. Yeah,
they
so
would've-
that's
they would've
about
done
the
So
same
actually,
time.
what you're saying, Doc,
What
is
that
you're
mean?
wrong.
No, it's not that
Either
he's wrong, but what it means is that they started cooking it up, these things at the same time, around the same time. And they're like, okay, they released like 2 months apart, but that means clearly in the Marvel offices or the DC, who did it first? Red Hood. So that means clearly in the Marvel offices, they got a whiff that they were bringing Jason Todd back. It's like, oh, we're going to one up you by breaking one of the sacred holy cows of the comic industry, which is Bucky stays dead. That's why I was just like, oh dang, son, you're gonna really blow your wad over this joint right here by just doing it as an also ran. That's what the problem with it was. It was like, yo, Bucky stays dead.
You know what the
and
good
then
thing
you're
though
gonna.
is you got
Go
Judd
ahead.
Winnick and you get Ed Brubaker, so they were both good.
That
That would never happen.
yeah.
Again,
That's true, yeah.
again, the idea of Jason coming back popped up in Hush in 2002.
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, that's true. Yeah, okay, okay, I'll give you that. I'll concede that point.
There
Yeah.
wasn't a
But I
what
just
if
thought they were
Bucky
doing a
didn't
head fake.
die or Bucky went evil.
Oh, you know what? There probably is. There's
There
got to be
probably
a
is.
what if. Yeah.
There's a what if for everything.
Nah, I don't think there was a what if for that one.
I
No, it was
think
like
there was.
no. Was there? I mean, I remember the what if the invaders had stayed together after World War II or something like that, but that was playing into the whole fact of the fake Cap and Bucky that they
It
put into
was-
place.
It was during the original What If run, not the one that was in the like the one in the 80s, not the one in the
Mhm.
90s.
Really? All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to go track that down now. All right.
Kenneth Dowling says, if Dick Grayson is Bruce's greatest success, then Jason Todd is his greatest failure. What happened to Jason Todd was a cautionary tale in the Batman mythos, and they took it away by bringing it back. I agree with you. And they set a precedent within comic books that death does not matter ever again.
I think Bruce's greatest failure is his son.
I think his greatest failure is Joker, the fact that he's still alive. How the hell is that still happening?
I think his greatest failure is having 25 of himself and still having a shittier city than he did a year ago.
Y'all gonna have to explain the City of Bruce to me thing someday.
No, he's saying that he's got so many Robins that he's trained, and Gotham's worse than ever. Yeah, they haven't helped.
Gotcha.
The City of Bruce thing was a Perch Joe thing where they were doing bad pitches, and they're like, what if Bruce and his Playboy persona was for all these years have been going around and hooking up with all these chicks, and finds out like, half of Gotham is actually his like seed, his sperm, walking around.
So I've been wasting my time going through the back issues of the website trying to find what story arc was that?
It reminds me of an Aftershock series called Jimmy's Bastards that Garth Ennis wrote, where like, what if James Bond like had all these illegitimate kids and they all found each other, bonded together, and tried to kill him? So
that's pretty good. We got Callum Lyle says, I'm a limey, damn it. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I lived in England. I love British people. I can eat spotted dick. It's all good.
You eat dick?
Spotted dick. It's like a pudding.
I was just gonna say that sounds like a diseased penis.
I like mincemeat pies. I like all that stuff. You throw some meat in a pie, I'll eat it. From my 5 years in England, I lived in Huntington. It's not a lot of fun that time of my life. We got the great ones played it. Is he talking about The Rock, the great one? As a Marvel fan, I loved Gotham. On the other hand, I tolerated Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., hoping that it would matter. I didn't even finish the last season. You're a smart person. We all went through Lost. You do not wait it out to that last season. If you could see that you ain't going to get the payoff that you need, you got to exit. And I think Game of Thrones really reiterated that fact, Josh.
I disagree about it didn't even finish the last season, because they went back and touched on every single season in that last season and brought there's a storyline that becomes like from the second episode that goes through to the last season. I disagree.
Yeah,
but
sounds like you have bad taste.
Well, I was about to say I hated Gotham. Like I hated Gotham, and I will say I'm not alone. Our OG crew at Batman News, we all hated Gotham. So
that's because
I liked Gotham.
I gave it 3 seasons, and I was like, I can't. Like these characters are not the characters. Like,
I liked Gotham, but I hated Fish Mooney.
Yes, that was the worst character. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know why they kept bringing Fish Mooney back. What's up, John?
Gotham was either a story about a very ineffective cop, or the prequel to a story about a man beating up geriatric people. Because by the time Bruce would have been an adult to become Batman, all of his villains would have been senior citizens.
Yep.
So they didn't think everything out. Kenneth says, Death of Superman, Return of Superman set that precedent by first killing Supes and bringing him back. There was a video on this. Yeah, but he was Superman. He clearly wasn't dead. There was 4 new Superman, and he was healing himself. He never died. They just thought he was dead.
Bringing back characters from 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, that's where it starts getting, oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
All right, Doc, what's your really bad point? Did you make your stupid opinion that everyone hates?
No. I mean,
now, you've got a litany of these. Almost anything that you think about comics.
I do. I mean, you guys have all heard mine when it comes to legacy characters. I fucking hate them. But the one that I really think I think a lot of people are going to be really pissed about, especially, sadly, sorry, Skip, Jonathan Hickman is a very mediocre at best writer.
I might have to go with Doc on that one and be hated.
He's not bad. He's not bad, but he's mediocre at best.
His Illuminati stuff that he did with the Captain America, Black Bolt, how they pretty much kept like all the universes were dying, Mr. Fantastic and everything. I thought that was all brilliant, what he did with that for years and leading up to the Secret Wars. But everything after that, and the kind of like, it's kind of like a half-hearted approach now. But all that stuff with the Illuminati, I thought was brilliant.
I didn't even think that was that great. I thought it was just, I see. We're just doing a really bad, boring version of the Exiles again.
Not necessarily. I mean, every universe was dying. It could eventually lead to their Earth, and they're having to have these debates like, is this right destroying this Earth? We're destroying this universe and everything. And it's like they're having these great debates about it. And all the while, Dr. Doom is slowly and steadily picking up on things that are going on. But I thought it was a great, I don't know how many years it was, but it was a great build-up to Secret Wars.
All I know is Doc has never read an issue of East of West. He's never read an issue of Black Monday Murders or any of the wonderful things that Jonathan Hickman has done.
I mean, did he even read his Fantastic Four?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it was okay, but I would have taken most of the stuff.
I'm sorry, his X-Men wasn't good, but he wasn't even writing.
No, I didn't even really think I didn't think his Avengers was that great. I thought his New Avengers was just boring. I wasn't really super impressed. I thought it was okay. Fantastic Four. It was readable compared to what most people had done recently. It made it readable again, but it was the first time. And yeah, okay, fine. Jonathan Hickman made the Fantastic Four readable for about 5 years for the first time in 20 years, but it's still mediocre compared to everything from the first 40 years of its existence. Okay, cool.
Like the perfect.
He made Molecule Man a credible, powerful threat. That's all I'm going to say. Just
oh man, why do you do this stuff to me, Kenneth? Doc's statement on Hickman is interesting. It's not. It's balderdash. It's so easily disproven. But okay, well, let's go down this rabbit hole. The only reason I read his X-Men is because everyone talked about his Avengers Fantastic Four run. I'm not into those books, but I wasn't into it.
His Avengers series, I like, and I still enjoyed it. But literally everything I've read from I would even put Secret Warriors above that. But his Ultimates run that he did was super good. His Thor story that he did within the Ultimate Universe was good. I bought his Hawkeye series that he did for Wes, and within there, even that was really good. Like
that was good.
But there's so many of his stories that people haven't even read, and then everybody talks about his Avengers and his New Avengers because it led to Secret Wars. But that, I would say his Avengers and his New Avengers, out of all of that stuff that he did, was probably the worst series that he wrote outside of the Dark Reign Fantastic Four. That one I would say was closer to mediocre, but it was still good, and it showed that he understood him, and that's how he got the main Fantastic Four run. But if you've never read his Shield, if you've never ever read his Shield book that he did, I would absolutely read his Shield book. It's one of the coolest Marvel stories I've ever read ever, and one of the best ways I've seen someone go back and tell a prequel story and establish something that had been with us for so long. It was amazing.
I've never been a fan of retconning in this. This might as well be the fucking Bat God. Sorry, it's the Bat God. It's the Spider.
I don't think you can say that until you read it, though.
I read Shield. I thought it was okay, but it was okay for its story. I hate the repercussions of it, though, because all it is it's a good novelty story, and if it stood by itself or it wasn't actually impacted and it never impacted the Marvel universe, fine. But the fact is, it's going to, because they said it well in the past, and and in the current and the future, and all that shit. But no, it's the Bat God, or it's the Spider Totem. It's the exact same thing. It's retconning in some big historical thing that didn't need to be there. Shield as just a practical.
So you hate the Winter Soldier?
I did. I don't like.
That was a major retcon, Doc.
Yeah, it was. And you know what? I'm fine with Bucky. I ended up hating all of the, hey, look, Bucky has connections to everybody and has for the entire existence of the Marvel Universe, but nobody knew it until 2005. Fuck that. It was 40 years of retconning in 40 years worth of shit. No, sorry, dumb.
Well, you murdered that guy. Says he's got $10 that says Doc has a beard. He does
Oh,
have
he
a
may-
beard. It's down to his balls. I've seen it before. It's quite enormous. Kenneth Dalek says, I read those books, but they didn't hook me. We got Nolan Nerd saying, someone else who's iffy on Hickman is Pele. So there you go. And
Well, I will agree with LK in the chat that I think part of it is that Hickman doesn't stick the landings. It's like it's a lot of great setup. Like you can't deny what was going on in House of X and Powers of 10, but like sticking the landing, because I read the New Avengers run, which was my first major exposure to Hickman. And really for me, I remember talking to a friend of mine about the time I was just like, I realized, these books are no longer for me. Like the way they're writing these characters and this new status quo he was a sense in setting up where basically every hero was the villain. I was like, I mean, it was interesting, don't get me wrong, but I was like, it's not my cup of tea. And then like, he didn't stick the landing with Secret Wars. It was just like, all right.
I would like if you're interested in some good Hickman to check out, I would definitely check out his Fantastic Four run. I haven't read a series, like a long series that stuck the landing better than, I mean, they literally, I mean, and not just because you go back to the first panel that you started out doesn't mean that you stuck the landing, but it does show that there was a through line, and it was especially if you're a father, it was one of the best like ways to bring something back around. It was really, 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 really good and heartwarming. And I mean, and like, oh my gosh, see, I want to spoil something from it, but I can't. One of the coolest panels I've ever seen in my life was in there. Like, if you're a Galactus, if you like
now,
Galactus,
you can spoil whatever you want.
Oh, okay. When Franklin Richards was like made Galactus his herald, to me, my Galactus, I was like, oh shit, are you kidding me? No way. It was incredible. Anyway, the context of it matters as well. Check it out.
I mean, look,
all right, guys, we got to answer this last question and move on. I'm sorry. I always seem to do this when you Doc, but we got to move on. We're at almost 2 hours and we still have 3 topics. Wraith X says Hickman is very overrated and writes boring as hell padded stories with graphs and flow charts and characters standing around and talking.
That's Tynan. No.
That's Hickman too. They just copy each other.
All right, so that'll wrap up this one. We've all talked about some terrible comic book opinions. Let's get to the Batman trailer. The thing has been a force of nature. Josh and I talked about it right here on the channel, what we thought about it. Skip, you are a movie aficionado. What did you think about the Batman trailer?
Come back to
me. You like this?
I want to go last.
Well, I wanted you to go first, but let's go to Drew.
Thank you.
All right. So I have watched this a few times now, but like Josh, I'm a big Batman fan, and I just see it's Batman Begins again. But
should that be the name of the movie? Batman Begins
again. Yes, again. It just I don't buy Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne or Batman at all, especially as Iron Batman. He's clearly Iron Batman now. If he's taking full on submachine gun fire and just walking like I this is not Batman to me. And I've got a very, very strong feeling that we're going to get our hero Batman portrayed as an emotionally unstable and uncontrollable Batman, led around by a more capable and smarter woman, namely Catwoman. And I think that's going to be the story point for this movie. So I don't think I really want to see this movie at this point.
I'm kind of with you. I thought him running through bullets was pretty bad, but I thought everything else about Batman, when you saw him, he looked pretty violent. He's got a pretty good Batmobile.
Well, my thing is, one of my other things is like Ben Affleck in the costume as Batman. To me, that was the comic book New 52 Batman costume on screen. I'm like, that's Batman. Oh my God, they did it. This is like a step back. This is like somewhere in between Christian Bale and Ben Affleck. I'm like, we just went back 10 years almost now. And this isn't what me personally as a Batman fan, I don't want this on screen for me.
I definitely don't want to see the origin of Bruce Wayne again recorded.
No. Mm-hmm.
What do you think, Gevian? You taking the girls to see the Batman?
No, I'm not going to see the Batman. To me, I don't want to denigrate and not give everyone who made this film a chance to put this story out there by saying this feels like Garfield's The Amazing Spider-Man. where it's like the Spider-Man movie that nobody asked for. But it's just like I'm kind of like a little bit on Batman, like overload. I'm like kind of burnt out. It's just like I just don't see the point of having to make this movie. It's like we just did Justice League and a Flex Batman, and it's like even when they were talking about doing a spinoff of his version, I'm just like, why? I think in terms of the films anyway, just need a break and a breather from it. It's like Batman 24/7 all the time, and it's just like do something else, do something new. So yeah, I'm not enthused about it. I mean, I like the fact that Andy Serkis is in there as Alfred, because I like to see more of him doing superhero stuff, especially after his turn as Claw in Black Panther. But it's I'll wait till it is it like $10 at Blockbuster with the Blu-ray DVD combo. Yeah, it's a pass.
Did you just call him Ben Affleck?
Ben Affleck, Ben Affleck. Okay.
Maybe that sounded better. Callum Lyle says, "Did they say you are not allowed to fetishize Catwoman?" I think that's a crazy idea. I mean, she's in a pretty good outfit there. What am I supposed to do, Josh? Not look?
She's in a leather costume.
Yeah. You're going to see some curves. You're going to look. Well, most people are going to look, I would say. But, yeah, I mean, we talked about this recently. One of the big issues I had coming into seeing, especially the most recent trailer, was I was fine with Batman as Batman, because I think in some ways it was better than what I was expecting. But it was the Bruce Wayne aspects that I wasn't connecting with. And it wasn't until I actually saw the interview with Pattinson when he was talking about like the version of Batman that we're telling. He hasn't found his Bruce Wayne persona yet, and he hasn't discovered the importance of that. So the moment he said that, I kind of backed off and was able to give it some room to breathe. And I got more of a like, I'll wait and see. But that was my biggest takeaway. Drew also kind of mentioned how this is landing between Nolan and Snyder's takes on Batman, and I understand what he was saying because it looks like it's in between in terms of the stylization. I think in the approach, though, I'd say it's even like further over this direction past Nolan's, because where Nolan tried to go realistic and street level to a certain degree, I feel like this is like how low can we go on the street level, and that to me is always tricky. I think you have to have some. Something fantastical about comic book movies, even if they are street level characters. So we'll see how they do it. I trust Matt Reeves. I think he's a solid director. I think he's a solid storyteller. And I think this film is going to be less Bruce Wayne character driven than Nolan's, and more of a greater like Gotham is the character and these are the people that inhabit it. So you could get a different tone based on that. But honestly, we'll just have to wait and see. I will say I thought last year's sneak peek was way better than the trailer.
And when you go this low, like to a level like the movie 7, it's like think about that movie in itself. It's a great movie, but how rewatchable is that movie? How often are you going to rewatch 7?
Agreed.
Maybe when I'm depressed and want to blow my brains out, I'll watch 7. But like, it's just this is where this Batman movie is right now. Like, it looks like it doesn't have that sustaining power of rewatchability.
Yeah. Yeah, again, I think we're gonna have to wait and see. Like we could get in there and we could see the elements of like Penguin being there and being like a little big and over. Like there could be things that at the end of the day we've seen like maybe 5 minutes of the movie. Like I think we're just gonna have to wait and see. But yes, I agree with you. If it's too real, quote unquote, it can be a thing where it's one of those films that hey, you watch it and you're like, that's a great film, it's excellent, and you never watch it again. I've watched Joker.
All right, Doc.
Once, and I haven't watched it since then.
Is Doc back? Has he returned? Doesn't sound like it. Damn it, Doc! You're supposed to be picking up the slack here now, but I think it looks.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I was just saying Skip wanted to go last. No, I was just saying Skip wanted to go last, and then he ran away.
Oh man, Kenneth Dowling says haven't seen the trailer, but I'm not worried about it or super excited about it. I will see it. As far as films, I enjoyed the Dark Knight trilogy. Yeah. We've probably gotten too much Batman.
Well, granted, I mean, here's the thing with the Nolan films. I mean, granted, they were dark street level, but they had fun elements to them. They had some fun elements. I don't see anything fun with this movie. That's just me. That's kind of eliminates that rewatchability factor.
You didn't like it when Catwoman was teasing him, like put her finger on his chest? It was like,
The only tinge that looked like there could be some fun in it was which honestly wasn't even fun. It was just kind of funny. Was the Penguin thinking that he got away, and then Batman like blowing up his car and him being like pissed. But
the new Riddler definitely doesn't seem very fun. We got Cal Miles says he's already sold on Black Adam. Well, I'm already sold on Peacemaker.
Hey, look, I agree. I think I'm more excited about both of those films than I am the Batman film, because I think I'll have more fun with them.
Yeah.
The one thing I'll say that I'm excited about this Batman film is it looks like we're actually going to get some detective work.
Yes.
That's the one saving grace. But I can't hang my hat on that.
Burton's Batman, when Batman discovered what combinations of chemicals you couldn't use together, you get smiled, right? But they didn't show him doing it, though. He just did it. All right, we're sending it over to Skip. You said you wanted to go last. Doc has skipped out on us. What do you think about the Batman trailer?
Doc noped out, huh? I really enjoyed it, and to me, it looks like it's going to be a really good movie. Now, when it comes to these characters, I mean, if this is the approach that people want to take, I guess you can say DC and Marvel have won. I care a lot less about how these characters are portrayed. And not that I don't care at all, but I saw some things in there where I was like, I'm not sure about that. But at the same time, from watching enough trailers and then going and seeing movies, we've watched trailers where we were like, this movie is going to be awesome, and the movie was mediocre or bad, or we've watched really bad trailers where we've gone and we're like Shang-Chi. I thought the trailers looked good, but then I went and I watched the movie and I was like, oh, this movie is really good. So I've done that enough to know that I'm ultimately gonna have to see it to really know how I feel about it. But as of right now, the things that I'm not sure about could be taken care of when I go see it. And most of what I saw looked pretty good. So it looks like a really good movie. I just hope they lean into the detective aspect like they've been claiming that they have, to make it more of an interesting movie. But as of right now, from what I saw, it looks like it's going to be a good movie.
There you go. We got Cal Weil leaning in saying Shazam 2 looks like fun, but I think that should be Wonder Woman 3. I want to see her fight monsters of Greek mythology. As far as I'm concerned, the Shazam movie is the best one that they produced within the DC EU. The connected universe. I think that was the best movie they've done. In my opinion, what do you think, Doc? Josh, you're the DC guy.
What?
Doc, you jump in if you want to jump in.
No, I don't care.
No, actually, as far as DC movies go, I'm in agreement with you, Wes. I feel like Shazam had a good balance of tones and themes, and it executed it well. And I feel like I went on a journey. My concern with Shazam 2 is that, you've kind of already had that story. So, you don't get to... Billy Batson, for me, made that so interesting, and kind of seeing him discover himself as a hero and like the whole mother aspect I thought was really gripping. But you've kind of moved past that, and he is a hero now, and now he's got his family. So if they play into the family dynamics and really kind of have fun with it, it could be great. But I don't know if it's going to live up to the first one.
All right. Kenneth Dowling says, in The Dark Knight, there were ballistics work, tracing bullets. The Dark Knight is my favorite superhero movie, by the way. What are your guys' favorite superhero movies? Doc, what's your favorite superhero movie? And why is it X-Men 2?
X-Men 2 is right up there with, actually, it's Guardians. The first Guardians was my favorite movie, just because of...
You like the movie that ruined the MCU with stupid toilet humor?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But everything after that, trying to be Guardians, I hate. I mean, look, this is one of those things where I can like a story, but I can hate the consequences of that story. Same way I like House of X and Powers of X and hate the consequences of that story.
All right, Drew, what's your favorite superhero movie?
It's my favorite movie and favorite current miniseries, Superman 78.
Man, that is such a good comic book. I like Superman 2 better. That makes me weird.
The Donner cut. I love the Donner cut.
I just like the original one, the one I saw with my dad. I like Zod so much.
4, Quest for Peace with Captain Nuclear Guy.
Now I like Terrence Stamp as Zod. That was so good.
Yes.
Skip, what's your favorite superhero movie?
Might have to come back to me again. I got to think about it.
Jeez, he's Googling it. What's your favorite superhero movie, Javade?
Well, I'm going to give definitely an honorable mention to The Dark Knight, because I agree with Kenneth. I I was pleasantly surprised to find the theme of the Killing Joke as being a big part of that movie, so I enjoyed that part. But my favorite movie is Captain America: Winter Soldier. Best damn superhero thriller ever. It's like you actually got a superhero thriller movie.
Yep.
That to me was good stuff.
Josh?
I'm with Gervain. It's a tie for me with Dark Knight and Winter Soldier. For me, they're top
brothers?
tier. Apparently, yeah, brother from another mother.
That's right.
But no, to me, it comes down to the writing, characters, just the pacing of the films. Like, once you start both of those films, it does not let up until the end. So, love them.
All right, Skip, you've had a moment to think about it. This better be good.
Man, hey, that hear me out. All right, Nick Fury with David Hasselhoff was kind of tight.
Oh, come on, man! Are you serious? Wes, I think you've been redeemed now. Turn on Skip, my children. Turn on Skip.
I mean, I really, it's hard. I feel like I have so many now. It's difficult to think of one, but I mean, I'll just go with my favorite MCU movie. My favorite MCU movie is Captain America: Winter Soldier. So I didn't really add anything with that one.
I will go with it. My favorite MCU movie, obviously, is also Captain America: Winter Soldier. My favorite DCE movie is Shazam. And then if I go with just my favorite superhero movie ever, I really think X-Men 2 is almost flawless. I think that thing is like fucking phenomenal. You get Charles Xavier, you get Magneto together, and you get the big schism at the end, the teaser that the Dark Phoenix is coming. I just thought that one was a great movie.
And Wolverine kills. Don't forget that.
Yep.
Wolverine
and
kills.
we got to see Colossus, although it was only for like 2 minutes, unfortunately.
All right. I changed it. I got it. My favorite superhero movie of all time is Logan. Easily, Logan.
That's a good one.
That's the Western superhero.
The Crow. The Crow is a
superhero Western.
Crow's damn
good.
Crow too. That's a good one too. Yep.
Sin City, it's another good. Although it's not really superhero, it's more noir. Thank you very much, Garrett Daly. All right, Doc, you're the only person that hasn't said what he thinks about the Batman trailer. What do you think? We'll get to the next topic.
I didn't watch it, so I don't have any.
Perfect. Lade Kramer says, for fitting the character and evolving it, Blade. Blade is also awesome. That's like the movie that proved you could make a pretty serious Marvel film.
Yep.
Yeah, within and Marvel producing it kind of thing. So that's a very good pick. Man, Blade is dope.
I remember going to the theater and seeing that, walking out like, I want to find some Blade comics, and like hard to find them. It's so hard to find Blade.
Being horribly disappointed.
Yeah, I feel like Blade and The Crow both brought that like late '80s underground comic book film to film, and I wish we could get that back some way.
We got Doom Mega, good friend of the channel, Jerome. We'll definitely be back on the aficionados soon. He says, sipping on Duncan. Oh man, that's the best coffee in America. Sending a shout out to Wes, Gervain, the Doc, Josh, Skip, and Mr. Drew. Happy Saturday to you all. Happy Saturday to you, sir. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Good friend, and love Jerome. He's such a nice guy.
Yep, my man.
All right, so let's move on and talk about these Ruby Rose Batwoman allegations. She says she ended up having to quit the series because she was injured several times. There was a woman that was paralyzed on set. A man had his face burned off, and it was basically there was some unprofessional behavior going on with not only one of the execs at Warner Brothers or Warner Media Television, I believe it is, but the showrunner Batwoman themselves. Warner Media did come back, or Warner Brothers Television did come back with an official statement. We did hear a couple of the actors kind of refute what they said about her. You know what was interesting about this, Josh, is they never refute actually what her allegations are. They just kind of said she was really difficult to work with, and that's why we fired her.
Yeah. Look, you have two opposing things going on here, and the story is clearly going to be somewhere in the middle. If anything, I would say Ruby Rose has presented more evidence for why she feels the way she feels and what she feels was going on. So I have to kind of lean on her side a little bit that way. Also, the people that have come out and said she's a liar are still working on the show. And their statements are very similar. So they could be kind of getting pushed to say these things. We hear about all these things, these terrible things that happen with directors and stuff or on sets. And, it's like they come out years later. So I think the truth will come out 5 to 10 years after the show ends. But I'm kind of inclined to believe her, because if I'm not mistaken, I think her first injury actually came from her playing Batwoman before the Batwoman series even started filming.
Yes, she already had the scar on her neck where she just had emergency surgery.
And she was when she was doing the crossover episode. And then it was like months later that they started working on Batwoman. But, you know, there's people could have taken her as being problematic because they didn't know the months of crap that she was dealing with leading up to it. So if there were all these threats about, like, if you don't do this appearance, you know, we're going to fire you. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like, she's already been injured. They're not taking care for her personal safety and her personal health. She's trying to actively get better so she can actually film the show to the degree that she wants to. And they want her to do other things instead of seeing her doctor. Like, there's a lot that's in play here. And I think we're just seeing the beginning, but I think it's going to be a while before we get full details.
I mean,
before we get there, there is one alibi from the last topic. We did have Callum Lyle come in at the last second and say, Del Toro Blade 2, I enjoyed the third. I thought it was funny. The third movie I thought was really, really bad. And if you want to watch a really corny Blade movie, it's enjoyable. But if you want to watch the culmination of like a trilogy, it's awful. But Blade 2, actually, in my mind, is the superior of the three films. I thought it was fantastic. Yep. Him kind of meet up with the Vampire Nation with the new threat. I thought Ron Perlman's character was awesome. So
Donnie Yen,
absolutely, I thought it was absolutely.
The drama behind the scenes of Blade 3 is actually more interesting than the actual movie itself.
Word. Yep. It is.
Jars of urine. That's all I'm going to say. Jars of urine.
That must have been Triple H, right? So he came over from WWF, like to crap each other's bags and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So getting back to the Ruby Rose Batwoman allegations, what did you think about what you read here? You know, obviously there was a lot to cover in here. I know I sent you guys a lot of homework there, Skip. What do you think about all this?
I had been following it fairly closely. Like when we first started hearing things, to some of Josh's points, she had already been running into issues before they even started officially shooting the Batwoman series itself. In this particular case, I'm sure there's a little bit of both on both sides, but anytime that an actor or an actress is willing to stand up, for how they're being treated, by, corporation or production company or whatever, especially when it's very apparent, like some of the crazy physical injuries that they've endured. It's hard for me not to get behind them, put the quality of the show and the quality of her actual acting aside. She is someone who got hired to do a job, and if they're not taking proper safety precautions, or if just an honest accident did happen, but they're like trying, and I get it, you're on tight production schedules and you got contracts with networks and all of that stuff, I get it, but if you're putting all of that in front of the safety part already got compromised, but the health of the talent, my question is, I can only imagine, some of these actors that don't have as much pull, because Ruby Rose is a hot name. She was able to go and get another gig somewhere else. Some of these other actors and actresses that might be enduring that, thinking that they, because they don't have the pull and they can't just go get another gig that pays them as well or better someplace else because their name isn't as hot, that they may just be sitting up there and enduring that and taking it. So, I'm glad that she, took the reins on her career and her safety. But at the same time, like we've heard stuff about Ruby Rose from other movies and other productions, how she can be sometimes. And, there's probably a little bit of truth on both sides, I'm sure.
Yeah. So we do have, sorry, Don.
No, go ahead.
We got somebody that's going off topic. We got Glade Kramer saying, so Slot Reckoning War, he's talking about in the ticker down there, is The Last Jedi or Rise of Skywalker? You're ruining my jokes, man. That's my joke in tomorrow's Marvel solicitation video. I say it's his Last Jedi. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. We also have Callum Lyle hopping in saying, I was hoping that Batwoman was going to be like the one from the animated movie Blood Ties, but after the first trailer, I knew where it was going, and it happened, but worse. Do these people hate men? Doc, yes. Do they hate men?
Yes. But, yes, I mean, that was the simple answer is yes, but no, look, Ruby Rose is probably a giant fucking diva on set, but I don't think any of her allegations were actually factually wrong. I mean, literally,
they certainly didn't refute any of them.
No, they didn't. And safety on Hollywood sets. Didn't we just see Alec Baldwin shoot somebody on his own movie yesterday? Like the likelihood that, these people were entirely incompetent with safety is well within the realm of possibilities. I mean, like she claims that a PA got turned into a quadriplegic. Do you think that if that wasn't true, they would be like, hey, that never happened to anybody?
No, it did. That definitely happened. A lady was hit on the top of the head by something that came down.
I understand. So what I'm saying is her allegations are very much accurate. Now, whether she was insufferable in dealing with them is up to them to decide. I mean, maybe is she a good enough actress that you deal with somebody screaming about them all the time? Maybe not. But at the same time, her bringing light to a horribly run production is probably still perfectly fine. I mean, I don't see any problem with her doing it. I mean, and she obviously waited until her NDA expired to do it.
Yeah.
Well, and she mentioned she was going to have to sign her life away. That was likely she was going to have to sign some more comprehensive NDAs to go into season 2. Yeah, at least that's the way I took it.
Probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm surprised. I'm surprised the show still it didn't get like the production did not get shut down completely.
Yeah,
just from safety reasons.
I do want to say thank you very much to everybody. We are at 150 likes. I think it's actually 152. And I really appreciate you supporting the channel, letting everybody know that we're having a good time here. We got Kenneth Allen saying, with these allegations, the guy who plays Lucius is disagreeing with her. At least that's what I read. He's disagreeing with her about what she said about him. He's not disagreeing about the injuries or the injuries on set, or whether or not it was safe or not, or whether or not there was bad behavior going on by the execs. She specifically names one guy as saying that he was having women steam his pants in the crotch area while he was still wearing them. He never actually addresses that. He just says that she was difficult to work with, and that's why she got fired, and that she was less professional than him. So he didn't actually address the actual allegations.
And she called out Dougray Scott too. She said like he was acting like almost the same way, and he refuted her stuff too.
I think that's the guy that plays Lucius.
No, Dougray Scott plays her dad.
No. That's
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He's the guy that was supposed to play Wolverine in X-Men, but he quit 10 days before the movie started.
Yep. And then they
One of the best happy accidents ever, Josh.
One of the best happy. Yeah. And the whole reason he quit wasn't it because of
MI2?
Because of Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise like flipped his shit. I think this whole thing is interesting, and as much as I love this guy's works and what he's done and what they mean to me from growing up, you look at Joss Whedon. There were decades of people just praising the hell out of Joss Whedon, and not even from a fan aspect. You had cast and crew praising Joss Whedon, and you get to this point now where you're having all these different things come out. I think a lot of times, you're either doing it out of self-interest or you are doing it just kind of to toe the line with the company. But I think some of these actors are going to say hey, they're going to skirt around the issue because they want and need their job. And I think we've seen it's very easy, especially for no-name actors, and I don't mean that in a bad way, just people that aren't fully established, to just get blacklisted. It's very easy to get picked as like, okay, we're not working with you, Also, I will say Warner Media is notorious for being cheap. So I do think Ruby Rose being vocal could potentially bring some investigations into just sets and how they run things and how they do things. And honestly, it's probably a good outcome.
All right. Does anyone else have anything to say about the Ruby Rose Batwoman allegations? Sounds like it'll probably get more interesting.
Yeah, obviously Ruby Rose didn't learn a great lesson from Dark Side of the Ring, which is don't sell it. Just don't. Never sell it.
All right, we got one topic left. Let's get into Marvel comics. We haven't really talked about them other than some of the bad comic story stuff. We've got a whole new solicitation for January 2022, Doc. You are the Marvel aficionado. What did you notice in here? Anything got you excited? Anything that you're bummed about?
The thing that got me excited that I noticed is that like 2 months ago when they announced that the X line was going to basically be taking off entirely for January, and just
Not true.
focusing on the Wolverine event, and then they basically said, yeah, except for Sabretooth and except for Dark Reign, X-Men, and
Marauders.
and the only book that's not coming out that month is fucking Excalibur. That's it. Everything else is still happening. So they're taking so we got another stealth cancellation, and I kind of love it because it was a shit book that I hate.
You think Excalibur is canceled?
Yes,
I don't think so.
I think it'll be.
It is.
Because I think Tinney left. I think Tinney left that office.
There you go. What do you think of the solicitations there, Drew?
To be honest with you, like going through the different cover, because we sell comics here, we sell a lot of different variant covers. Going through the Deaths of Wolverine, these covers suck. I mean, most of these covers just suck ass. I mean, there's like one good one from Delato, I think.
There's
Most
one
of the
that's like black that looks like it's on fire, kind of with his
silhouette.
That was okay.
You know what? The Sam Keith one was pretty good.
Yeah, it's like that's one of the two I would say like are probably worth buying. But like a lot of the titles, I'm just like, maybe. I mean, the She-Hulk, once again, She-Hulk covers, those are going to be hot. I guarantee you, those covers, just covers alone, they're going to sell like hotcakes.
All right, what's your opinion on that? We got a super chat from Cal Line. What's your opinion on the next She-Hulk and who's writing it? Are you a fan of Rainbow Ruel?
Not exactly. I'm not the biggest fan, but we'll see what happens. Be fair and objective with the writing, as I am with everyone. Like with Mariko Tamaki, I thought she was horrible until Detective Comics came out. She's been fantastic on it. So hopefully Rainbow's had her come to Jesus moment, and she or he, whatever, is good on She-Hulk.
I think Rainbow Ruel is like a hippie woman.
Okay.
I might be wrong on that one. Kenneth Dallin, one more question for the panel. Do you prefer superheroes with powers or without powers? Most of my favorite superheroes don't have powers. Be personal. What about you, Skip? You like powered up or non-powered superheroes?
I just realized most of my like Captain America, Black Panther, they're both super powered. So yeah, I guess I like powers.
Gervain's a non-powered superhero kind of guy. I can see it.
Oh, actually, I'm both. I like non-powered
ways,
and powered superheroes, and I like them when they're together. I think that's what makes them fun.
What do you prefer, Drew?
I prefer mostly depowered, and I do like the heroes like Moon Knight, where it's like, is there superpower there? We don't know. Maybe. And Daredevil sometimes, but I do like Swamp Thing. That's an elemental god type thing, but like mostly depowered heroes I like.
Doc is definitely a superpowered kind of guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I like mutants. I like Spider-Man. Now, the only thing that I like more than those on occasion is humans that figure out a way to kill superheroes. Like just straight humans that have found ways, like
Punisher kills the Marvel Universe. There you go.
Well, like the Boys early on, before they got the Formula V, then also Stormwatch Team Achilles for the first few issues where it was all humans. It was that Black Razor team that were figuring out ways to take out superhumans with just standard human tactics. There's been a couple more. Obviously, Punisher kills the Marvel Universe, but yeah,
you should read Nightwing: The New Order. He basically wipes out all superpowered characters in the DC universe, makes them all like go underground.
Yeah,
Dick Grayson's man. All right, Josh, what do you like, superpowered or unsuperpowered?
My favorite books tend to lean towards more of the unsuperpowered people. I mean, clearly Batman and his crew, but yeah, I typically lean more to just kick-ass human beings.
We got Cal Miles says, I'd rather read a She-Hulk book drawn by Ed Bettis. What do you think about that one, Drew?
That'd be fun. What is Ed Bettis doing now? Is he doing anything?
That's what I was just wondering.
He's working on, I think he's going to be part of Artist Elite Comics.
Oh, you mean the company that Sean is the co-owner of? Okay, yeah. He owns Comics Elite. He's going to be Sean is one of the founders of that. So yeah, I'll if Sean was here, I'd ask him
check
about
with
that.
check with him, because
Yeah.
for some reason I thought I saw something about that. I know he was doing some crowdfunding stuff before,
Mhm.
because he did his Nina and Ariel, and I think he
Mhm.
did a couple issues of that.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going through his Justice League stuff he did from like the early 2000s. I'm like, God, this stuff is so damn good. But it's just we haven't seen him in a hot minute. I mean, we need that
Doc.
art again.
Joe Cool's got a point. Humans killing superheroes is your thing. You must love Tom King.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Batman's not a superhero, so
No, but Tom King kills every superhero character he touches.
well, yeah, Tom King kills everything he touches. So does Jason Aaron.
There you go. You're a big Jason Aaron fan and Tom King. There you go. We didn't know that, Doc. That's
Yeah.
very nice. I don't know, Josh. You're more the DC aficionado, but you read Marvel as well. Did you see anything in these January solicits that you're like, oh, I need to pick that up, or oh my goodness, it's going to be off?
There's plenty of moments where I'm like, "Ooh, this is probably going to be bad." There's not really anything that caught my attention that made me want to go like, "Oh, I've got to, pick this up or add it to a pull
World
list."
War M Maestro is the one for me.
Oh, I forgot about that one.
Peter David.
Moon Knight's been
yeah,
solid so
good.
far.
Yeah,
Moon
no,
Knight's
I mean,
supposed
but
to
like
be good.
Moon Knight's for me, Moon Knight's something that's been ongoing that
Mhm.
I'm enjoying. There's not, as far as newness though. I mean, I'll give that a chance, but I'm actually not as excited about Devil's Reign. I keep wanting to say Dark Reign.
There's too many issues. Why
Too
did
many
they make
issues.
so many crossovers?
Yeah, it seems like it's kind of thematically following the same thing as Dark Reign or what Dark Reign tried to do. So
We got Kenneth Dowling says, I absolutely love this channel, and this channel loves you, sir. It enriches my soul talking about superheroes with and without powers. Thank you all for this outlet. Have a great weekend. You also have a great weekend, and hopefully we'll see you next week. And we'll be talking about comic books, obviously, on the channel all week. Got a couple things recorded I think you're going to like, especially on Monday, if you've been seeing what happened with me this weekend. Let's not go into that. All right, Skip, did you see anything in there that you think looks exciting? He doesn't read big two.
For the most part, no. Literally, the only thing that jumped out at it, because I was watching, I think I watched Purchase video on the Solicits, and the only thing that got announced where I was like, oh, was the Maestro book by Peter David.
So good. I think the Spider-Man Ben Reilly one from the 90s is also going to be cool. J.M. DeMatteis on there. I think that'll be dope too, but it won't. The Maestro one's the one. It's my lead pipe lock of the month. Little spoiler.
The first two Maestro books were awesome. So I have plenty of faith in the third one.
What are you thinking there, Gevian? You're a comic book publisher. What whets your appetite? Anything in there under $5 that you can actually afford?
Yeah, well, definitely the Silver Surfer Rebirth. I'm interested in that because I did like Mars's and Round Limbs run, and I'm a big Round Limb Mark, so I'm looking forward to that. With Devil's Reign, I'm not quite sure to make of that because I didn't think that everything was gonna be leading up to this, but this idea of like acts of vengeance with the siege, with a dash of original sin thrown in. I'm not sure how exactly that's going to work, but I agree. I think there's way too many books. And then I'll say I'll probably get a much of a wife over this, but that Mary Jane Black Cat variant, I don't know what Black Cat's doing on that bike, but it looks interesting. But other than that, that's what caught my attention.
Jimmy from Comic Work says, hey. Well, glad to see you here, Jimmy.
What's up, Jimbo?
Definitely got to get him back on the channel again. Jimmy's doing great. Hope you all are checking out his content. He's a wonderful dude and a great YouTube. Skip, you're you still working with Jimmy, or should we talk crap about it?
Oh, yeah, you can bash Jimmy. You can bash him. Can't stand the guy.
All right, so I think that does. Does anyone else have anything to talk about the Marvel solicitations? I got a whole video coming out first thing for you guys tomorrow morning.
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully they're good. Hopefully they're all good. We'll see what happens.
We shall see. Let's get into some comic book recommendations and wrap a bow on this bad boy because I got to pee and I got some work to do. Gervais, what are you recommending this week?
Well, it's pretty slim pickings, but definitely Suicide Squad number 8. I'm with Drew. That is a great premise, and it's been a good ride so far. I've ordered Nubius. I haven't read it yet, but I picked it up for the Martinez thing, and I'm gonna say I'm wildly disappointed. I went through all this time to clean and pick out my No Man T-shirt, and we didn't end up talking about Nubia, but that's okay. I think they got a plan B for that. And then Fight Girls, just because I like number 4, because I like Frank Cho's art. But the story, not so much.
There we go. What are you recommending, Drew? You read all the comic books. If you
So
don't know this, Drew and Sean do a podcast weekly on my podcast channel. It's also on, I believe, their Facebook channel and their YouTube, where he talks about every single comic book that comes out this week. So if you're ever unsure, Wednesday morning, you can check it on the Thinking Critical Comic Book Podcast.
Yeah, that is very true. And to piggyback on what was just said, yeah, Fight Girls by Frank Cho and Sabine Rich. Holy crap, this is just fun, straight up fun. Thor number 18, got the return of Throg, amazing, by Donny Cates. And I kind of went to the dark side. I stepped my foot into manga a little bit. Bio Booster Armor Guyver. This is actually a lot of fun. I am having a lot of fun reading this right now. So if you're not that big into manga like I am, give this a check. Check it out. It's not bad.
Somebody says, "Who is Sean?" Sean is the owner of Comics Elite and the boss of Drew.
Yep, that's true.
And apparently one of the co-founders of the Artist
Elite Comics.
There you go. Who else needs to do some recommendations? What are you recommending this week, Josh? Is it a Batman comic?
Hell no. Actually, you know what? Go read Batman, Catwoman. Every other thing you read this week is going to be great. Like,
that was so bad.
So just start. Just put that on the top of your list. Read it. Everything else, you're like, damn, that wasn't bad. I'm not going to bitch.
Drew, did you realize Batman Catwoman was about Selena deciding who to marry, Bruce Wayne or Joker?
I could not believe that. I could not. It
finally dawned on me this week. I was like, what the fuck?
It really just shows you the stark contrast with how Tom King has written Catwoman to how Ram V writes Catwoman. It's like two completely different people here. I don't get this at all. Why did DC agree to let him write this series? It's shocking.
I will never forget on This Week in Batman, like 2 previous issues of Batcat, when I was like, Wes, did you get a vibe like they were hooking up Catwoman and Joker? And he's like, no.
Because he did the smell thing, yeah.
And I was like, I don't know, I got that vibe. And he's like, I don't think so. And I felt like an idiot. And then we get move on. I'm like, I fucking knew it. I knew it.
Yeah, the next issue, I was like, absolutely, because he walked in afterwards and he could smell what they were banging.
Yeah, it's like when he alluded to that, I immediately thought of the movies, the show Seinfeld, when Newman was dating this hot redhead and Jerry's dating her too, right after, I guess, because he was like, wait a minute, you and Newman? Really? Yeah. It's just I don't get this. It's like Catwoman. It's like that's going pretty damn low for her standards. Jesus.
Yeah. No, I can't. I was gonna say I can't really recommend anything that's Batman related. I think it's all pretty terrible right now. I will piggyback. Fight Girls is a lot of fun. It's just Cho's art is incredible, and it was one of those things that I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. So there's also that element to it. Other than that, I'm reading Eternals stuff right now to prepare for the movie, and it's fine. Yeah, there's moments where it's decent, but overall fine. So not a ton of recommendations. Sorry.
Jimmy asked, real question: who is Drew? Drew is the handsome gentleman in the top right corner that works at Comics Elite. He's a contributor to the channel.
I have a question about this Batcat thing. So is that book just basically Gotham High with adults now?
No.
Gotham Are you High was sure?
I think Gotham High was better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the weird love triangle thing seems like Gotham High.
Yeah, Gotham High was very much like Riverdale melodrama type stuff. This book is just
this is a fucking nightmare to read. What it is.
Yeah.
I don't even know what's happening.
Yeah,
I just know that Selena Kyle's trying to make a choice. We got Infamy or Death, I believe, live from Dublin. He's in Ireland somewhere. I recommend Snyder's 3 new comics on Comixology, especially Clear Night of the Ghoul. They're excellent comics. Manu Paul's art is amazing. Manu Paul is a great artist, and it is Scott-tober still. So
and I recommend Scott Snyder Lick My Balls.
That's your recommendation for the month. That's really
every time. Every time Scott Snyder, he can lick my balls.
Okay, so the best thing about this is that Infamy posted that comment earlier when we were talking about like gay characters, and you're like, well, who's going to be next? What's going to be next? He was like, what's going to be next is Doc coming out as gay, and then we end the show with him saying Scott Snyder will lick my balls.
Oh, Lord.
I'm just gonna teabag the fuck out of him.
There you go. That's the next big thing when I need some ratings here on the channel. Doc, do you have anything new in your life you want to talk about? Well, Wes, I would deal. That would be better. Galileo here says, "Don't read Nubia Real One." I think we all do that. With just some guy just
I had to
reviewed
read it. It sucked.
Yeah.
Oh man,
It
it's
was
terrible.
Bad. Oh wait, Comics Quirk says no, Wes. That's not Drew. That's Josh. So the question stands: who's Drew? Josh is the one in the bottom right with the hat on that doesn't work for Comics Elite. That works at Pop by Culture and also is a guy from BatmanNews.com. Whereas the top, that is Drew, who works at Comics Elite in Indianapolis, Indiana. Correct?
Correct.
Yeah. See, and I think. Are you in Plano, Texas? Is that where you're at? You're somewhere out there in Texas.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm in East Texas. I'm behind what they call the pine curtain.
Yeah. Josh is behind the pine curtain. What the hell are you talking about, Jimmy? You trying to confuse people? All right, Doc, do you actually have a recommendation? Or was this comic week just as bad for you as it was for me?
It was really, really bad. I bought Gunslinger Spawn, didn't read it.
I haven't read it yet.
It's fun. I read it. It's fun.
And I bought King Spawn #3, didn't read it yet. I literally read one comic this week, and it was this morning before.
I forced him to do it.
Yes, he literally forced me to do it. I'm like, I didn't read it, and he's like, you have.
We're going to record the video, and I was like, you didn't read it. I kind of need you to do that if we're going to review it together.
And I'm like, all right, give me 5 minutes. But yeah, no, this week it was a terrible release week, and nothing out there piqued my interest in the slightest bit.
All right, we know that you love indie comics. Perhaps our good friend Skipntosh can hook you up with a good indie comic this week. What should you be reading outside of Gunslinger Spawn, Skip?
Well, of course, I would recommend Ice Cream Man because it was supposed to come out this week, but thanks paper delays, it got pushed back 1 week. So I disagree with Doc. It can never be a bad release week when you get an Ed Brubaker book. We got Destroy All Monsters by Ed Brubaker and Sean Phillips. This thing, I mean, every time they put one of these out, I'm damn near all smiles like the whole time I'm reading it. Ed Brubaker just leads you through a story in such a buttery smooth way that has you very connected with the character. And then, of course, Sean Phillips just has that perfect tinge, that perfect paw on the pace of what the sequential art should do to tell the story. Just another incredible book in the books, I guess.
Did that come out in singles, or I thought that was just a hardcover release? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a collection.
They don't do singles for the Reckless series.
I will say I picked it up. I have not read it yet, but I'm excited to read it.
I think you're in for a treat, my friend. I could say this: of the comic books that I've read this week, none of them stand out as worthy of me telling the audience that they should probably go read it on my recommendation. So what I'm going to say is, apparently, I have a cameo in the upcoming Common America Volume 5 that has been the sneak peek art showed yours truly and Doug Ernst. We're standing together watching Common America probably beat some fools down. So if you're looking forward to that, which I certainly am, Common America Volume 4 is live right now on Kickstarter. They've already done well over $130,000 on their campaign. They're doing lights out work. You've also got Black Hops was solicited. I believe it was the second volume of Black Hops has recently been solicited for January in Antarctic Press. So go support Tim and Mark. Those guys are great guys, good friends of the channel, and they absolutely have stellar comic books. And I guess it's time to wrap this up. We do have Jimmy from Comic Quirks with the last word. He says, "Wash your ass."
The man is a
motherfucker.
Oh no, we got more people. Drew, look up Diego Bernard. You might like his art.
I do know his art. It's got a mix of David Finch and Ed Benes to it. It's like a little in between his art style. It's nice.
There you go. Jimmy says so. Drew is bottom middle. Yes, that's he's bottom middle. And Jimmy already said, "Wash your ass, folks." I hope you have a wonderful weekend. And we got some great content coming up for you. Thank you all very much.
And wash your ass.
Wash your hands.
Please stop copying Jimmy.